Imagine a universe where a mysterious blue police box materializes aboard the Federation space station, Deep Space Nine. How would an encounter between the time-traveling doctor and the crew of DS9 change the fate of the galaxy? Deep Space Nine orbits serenely above the planet Bajor, a massive circular station humming with activity. It is a hub of commerce, diplomacy, and the gateway to the Gamma Quadrant via the Bajoran wormhole nearby. On this particular day, the promenade, the station's bustling central thoroughfare lined with shops and vendors, is alive with the chatter of aliens and Starfleet officers going about their business. Bajoran Vedeks in flowing robes wander past Starfleet engineers grabbing a quick Rakta coffee. Ferengi traders haggle over trinkets at their kiosks, while security officers keep a watchful eye. Under the gentle lights of the promenade, it seems like a normal, peaceful afternoon on DS9. But the peaceful routine is about to be shattered. Without warning, a strange wind picks up in the promenade, swirling napkins and rattling shop signs. A low, rhythmic wheezing sound echoes through the hall, growing louder and more urgent. The crowd of travelers and residents pauses, looking around in confusion. In the middle of the promenade, right outside Quark's bustling bar, the air shimmers with golden light. To the astonishment of onlookers, an object begins to appear out of thin air, fading into existence as though emerging from nothing. Within moments, the object solidifies. A tall blue box, about 7 feet high, with a beacon light on top. It looks old-fashioned. Earth made a 20th century British police telephone box, completely out of place here in the 24th century. Painted on its top are the words, "Police Public Call Box." Station residents exchange bewildered glances. Some step back in alarm, while others lean forward in curiosity. They've seen their share of strange phenomena on DS9, from wormhole aliens to cloaked ships, but a simple blue box materializing on the promenade is a new one. A pair of Starfleet security officers on the upper level immediately tap their comm badges. "Security to ops," one says urgently, eyes locked on the impossible box below. Something just appeared on the promenade out of nowhere. Possibly a transporter malfunction, or it just appeared, sir. In ops, the operations center of the station chief of security, Odo, is already peering at a screen from his station beside the central command table. Shapeshifter and ever-vigilant guardian of DS9, Odo's amber eyes narrow at the sight of a box that certainly wasn't there moments ago. Captain Benjamin Sisko, the Station-S commanding officer, stands at Odo-S side. Sisko-S broad shoulders tense as he listens to the report over the comm. "Any idea what it is, Constable?" he asks Odo, using the Bajoran term by which everyone addresses the security chief. Odo shakes his head curtly. "I've never seen anything like it. Scanners show..." He frowns, examining the unusual readings. "I'm not sure, Captain. The object didn't register on our sensors until it fully materialized. It's like it wasn't there one moment, then suddenly it was. There's no transporter signature, no cloaking device that I can detect." Sisko straightens, his expression a mix of curiosity and concern. One hand instinctively reaches for the baseball sitting on his desk, a habit when he contemplates a new challenge. "Could it be Dominion technology?" he asks quietly. "The Dominion, the looming power from the Gamma Quadrant, has been a growing threat. Their shape-shifting infiltrators and advanced tech are a constant worry." Odo-S gravelly voice comes back. "It doesn't match anything we've seen from the Dominion or any other known species for that matter. It's just a small blue box, 2 meters tall. Non-threatening in itself, it appears to be made of wood. He says the last word with clear perplexity. Wood? On a space station? The situation grows stranger by the second. Sisko makes a decision. Keep a security team on it and have them hold position. I'm on my way. He steps off the central dais of ops. Major Kira Neris, his first officer, shoots him a concerned look from her station. The fiery Bajoran officer has her hand hovering near her phaser. Sisko meets her eyes. Kira, you're with me, he orders. The Captain S tone is calm but decisive. Aye, sir, Kira replies, already moving to join him at the turbo lift. Sisko quickly taps his comm badge as they move. Sisko to Dr. Bashir and Chief O'Brien meet us on the promenade. We have an unknown object that just appeared, and we may need all hands. Down on the promenade, the blue box stands silent and still, like a stubborn artifact out of time. A small crowd has begun to gather at a cautious distance. Quark, the Ferengi owner of the bar, peers out from his doorway with a mix of fear and entrepreneurial interest, perhaps wondering if this could be turned into a profit somehow. His tall, blue-suited brother Rom and a couple of waiters peek out behind him. From the upper promenade, Lieutenant Commander Jadzia Dax has also arrived, strolling in with scientific curiosity lighting up her eyes. Dax is the Station S science officer, a Trill, with lifetimes of experience, and she seems more intrigued than afraid. She has her tricorder out and is scanning the box from afar, her spots visible along the sides of her forehead as she concentrates. "What do you make of it, Jadzia?" calls a deep voice. It's Lieutenant Commander Worf, who has also appeared at the scene. The tall Klingon, former Enterprise officer and now Strategic Operations officer on DS9, stands with arms crossed, staring down at the box suspiciously. His ridged forehead is creased in a frown. Dax reads her tricorder and shakes her head slowly, a smile of astonishment creeping onto her face. I'm picking up an immense energy reading from it far beyond what you'd expect for something that size. It's almost like there's more space inside than outside. She shoots Worf an incredulous glance, as if unsure of her own words. The readings don't entirely make sense. I think this box might be... Before she can finish her thought, a new sound cuts through the air. A metallic clunk from inside the box, as if some internal mechanism has unlocked. The onlookers tense. One of Odo-S security officers, a young Bajoran deputy, raises his phaser, and his human partner follows suit. The double doors on the front of the blue box slowly creak open. A man steps out. He is a slender figure in a brown pinstripe suit and a long tan overcoat that flutters around his ankles. He has wild, spiky brown hair and bright, lively eyes that squint slightly as he takes in his surroundings. In one hand, he holds a peculiar metal rod-like device with a glowing blue tip. He blinks at the sudden change in lighting, then breaks into a wide, astonished grin. "Ha! Deep Space Nine, by the looks of it," he exclaims to himself, his accent distinctly English. "I actually never thought I'd land here." He steps forward with an almost boyish excitement, looking around at the promenade's open space, the merchants, the Starfleet uniforms, and the incredulous faces staring back at him. "Brilliant! This is brilliant!" he declares, seemingly to no one in particular, or perhaps to everyone. "Hello," he calls out, giving an energetic little wave with his free hand. The security officers, unsure how to respond, keep their phasers trained on the newcomer. Worf and Dax exchange a quick look. This certainly isn't a typical intruder. Worf's hand goes to the mech leth blade sheathed at his side, while Dax steps forward carefully, trying to project calm. Major Kira and Captain Sisko arrive via the turbo lift at that moment, stepping onto the promenade level a short distance from the commotion. They push their way gently through the gathering crowd. Kira has her phaser drawn. Sisko's hand hovers near his. They see the blue box and the man who just emerged. Sisko's eyes widen slightly at the sight. It's not every day someone literally steps out of thin air onto his station. The man in the brown coat notices the approach of what is clearly an authority figure by Sisko-S command red uniform and Captain S pips. The man's eyes light up even more. "Ah, you must be the commander here. Benjamin Sisko, right? Captain of Deep Space Nine. Oh, this is fantastic. Love the station, by the way. Big fan of your work." Sisko halts in front of the stranger, exchanging a quick, confused glance with Kira. How does this person know him by sight? "I am Captain Benjamin Sisko, in command of this station," he states firmly. He sizes up the eccentric-looking man unarmed, aside from that small device, and apparently human. Those scanners indicated something very unusual about that box. "And you are?" The man beams and bounces on his toes once, as if containing boundless enthusiasm. "I'm the doctor," he replies simply, tucking the metal rod, which Kira now notices looks somewhat like a modified flashlight or tool, into an inner pocket of his suit. "Just the doctor." Kira steps forward, eyes narrowing. Doctor who?" she asks skeptically, glancing at Sisko. The title alone tells her nothing, and this situation is far from ordinary. The Bajoran First Officer's instincts scream caution. This could be a founder shapeshifter trick, or something even stranger. "Just the doctor will do," the doctor says breezily, brushing off the question with a friendly smile. "Sorry about dropping in without a warning. Bit of a temporal hiccup. Had to make an emergency landing. You know how it is." He pats the side of the blue box affectionately. "She's not as young as she used to be, but I had the coordinates mostly right. This is Deep Space Nine, space station in orbit of Bajor, year 2377 by your calendar. Or is it 2373? I'm never sure how synced I am." Sisko interrupts the babbling politely, but firmly. "It is 2373, and you'd better start explaining, Doctor. You just appeared on my station out of nowhere, and that box of yours set off no small amount of alarm." The doctor's face softens a bit, recognizing the authority in Sisko's voice. "Oh, of course. Captain Sisko, I truly apologize for the intrusion. I come in peace, as they say. More than that, I'm actually here to help you." "Help us?" Kira echoes, incredulous. She keeps her phaser pointed generally toward the doctor, though not aimed directly at him now that he seems non-threatening. "What makes you think we need help?" The doctor rocks back on his heels and blows out a breath. "Well, let's say I've picked up some worrying readings. Time disturbances, energy fluctuations that shouldn't be here, all emanating from around this sector. I've seen this kind of thing before, and when I do, it's usually a sign that something, or someone, very dangerous is on the way." His tone shifts, the carefree excitement momentarily giving way to gravity. Sisko and Kira exchange another look. Sisko's expression darkens at the mention of danger. "What sort of danger?" the captain asks carefully. "If you know something about a threat to this station or Bajor, I expect a full explanation." Before the doctor can answer, Odo's voice crackles urgently over Sisko's badge. Odo to Sisko. Sir, our long-range sensors are picking up a disturbance near the wormhole, some kind of energy surge. Sisko taps his comm badge, never taking his eyes off this so-called doctor. Describe it, Constable. In Ops, Odo stares at his console as readouts spike. It is unlike any Dominion or Cardassian signature I've seen. A momentary burst of temporal radiation, but it dissipated too quickly to analyze. Now I'm reading residual traces of tachyons and chronoton particles. Hearing this, the doctor's head snaps up, his eyes suddenly serious. Chronoton particles? Here? Oh, that's not good, he mutters, mostly to himself, and pulls out his sonic screwdriver again, aiming it at the air and giving it an activating buzz. The device emits a high-pitched whir as he takes his own readings. Kira frowns, not understanding. How can you know what that means? What's not good? The doctor holds up a finger, focusing. Busy 1 second. He waves the whirring sonic device around as if trying to triangulate something, then flicks it off and studies a tiny readout on the side. He grimaces. Just as I feared. He turns to Sisko and Kira, tone urgent and completely earnest. Captain Major, listen to me. There's a massive buildup of chronoton energy near your wormhole, a sure sign of a temporal breach. Something or someone is coming through that wormhole that doesn't belong here. If I'm right, it's something very dangerous and very deadly. Sisko's jaw sets. The mention of the wormhole draws his utmost attention. Deep Space Nine's very purpose is to guard and manage that stable wormhole. Do you have any idea who or what it is? The doctor opens his mouth to answer, but suddenly the entire station shudders. A deep rumble passes through the hull, rattling the deck plates under their feet. On the promenade, lights flicker and a few people yelp in surprise. Quark looks up fearfully as a hanging glass sign in front of his bar tinkles with the vibration. In Ops, Odo steadies himself against his station. On the upper level of the promenade, Worf instinctively braces and Dax grabs a railing to keep her balance. Captain, we've just experienced a massive gravimetric distortion, Dax reports, checking the tricorder in her hand. She had kept it running. It originated from the wormhole's direction. As if on cue, the view screen above the promenade, often used to display the majesty of the nearby wormhole or incoming ships, blinks to life automatically, tied into the Station S external sensors. The swirling blue-green vista of the Bajoran wormhole appears, but it is turbulent, flaring with angry pulses of light. Bolts of energy arc around its mouth. Suddenly, a surge of bright light explodes out from the wormhole on the screen, followed by a shockwave. Sisko, Kira, and the doctor stare up at the display along with everyone else. A single small craft hurtles out of the wormhole at incredible speed, tumbling end over end. It looks like an escape pod or probe, silvery and cylindrical. It careens towards DS9. Ops to Captain Sisko, Odo's voice comes again, more alarmed now. We have a vessel, very small, coming out of the wormhole fast and on a collision course with the station. I see it, Sisko responds, already tapping his comm badge. Red alert! All hands! Red alert! Instantly, klaxons begin to wail throughout Deep Space Nine, bathing the corridors in flashing red lights. The calm routine of moments ago evaporates as Starfleet personnel spring into action, trained for emergencies like this. The crowd on the promenade starts to scatter to safe areas as the announcement repeats. Red alert! Red alert! Tractor beam now! Sisko commands, sprinting toward the nearest wall panel and interface. Kira on his heels. He slaps a control to open a channel to ops. Dax, can you lock onto that pod? Up on the promenade's upper level, Dax is already steps ahead. She has flipped open her communicator panel. I'm on it, she calls back. Her fingers fly over the controls. The space station's external tractor emitters power up, sending a blue beam of energy lancing out toward the hurtling object. On the main viewer, the silvery craft is caught by the tractor beam just in time. It jolts to a halt, thrashing against the invisible grip like a wild animal caught in a snare. The station vibrates with the strain of holding the object. Got it, Dax breathes, but it's putting up one heck of a fight. The object is still moving. I'm reading severe rotational instability. Indeed, the pod is spinning fiercely as the tractor beam struggles to nullify its momentum. If the beam loses lock, the pod could slip free and slam into DS9, causing major damage. Enhance inertial dampening fields, Sisko orders. Chief O'Brien, modulate the tractor beam counter the spin. At that moment, Chief Miles O'Brien comes jogging onto the upper level of the promenade from a nearby turbolift, having been en route from engineering when the alert hit. The stocky, sandy-haired chief is panting slightly as he joins Dax at the wall console. I'm here, Captain, he says through the comm. His fingers race over the panel. Adjusting the tractor beam, damping rotation, easy, there. On screen, the spinning slows as O'Brien's adjustments take effect. The tractor beam glows brighter and gradually stabilizes the pod's motion until it floats steady in space, held a few hundred meters from the station. Good work, Sisko says, relief tempered by focus. Now, what's the status of that vessel? In ops, Odo and a few other officers are monitoring sensors. Odo answers. The object is secure, Captain. I'm reading it as an alien escape pod of some kind. Hull composition is an unknown alloy. It appears to be powered down now. No signs of weapons. No life signs either, adds another voice over the comm doctor, Julian Bashir, who has arrived in ops to help in case of casualties. The young chief medical officer checks readings from a console. If anyone was inside, I am not detecting them. Maybe an automated craft. Sisko nods grimly, tapping his chin. Doctor, he glances to his side, realizing that calling doctor might confuse with Bashir and the newcomer, both present. Bashir is on comm, not next to him, so likely fine. He clarifies. Our guest, I mean. He turns to the time traveler, who calls himself the doctor, who is standing by watching the proceedings with intense interest. The doctor tears his eyes away from the viewer and meets Sisko's gaze. Yes, Captain? Is this what you were warning us about? Sisko asks, gesturing to the image of the mysterious pod. Did you know about this pod coming through? The doctor tilts his head, considering. Not the pod specifically. Detected the temporal breach, which usually means something crossing between different times or universes. That pod must have been caught in it. He frowns deeply. If there's a pod, then something must have caused it to come through. Either it was fleeing from something or a precursor to something worse. Kira looks between the doctor and Sisko. It might be a bomb, she warns. Could be Dominion after all, or Cardassian, some kind of weapon. The doctor raises his sonic screwdriver and checks it quickly. No, not a bomb. At least, not Dominion or Cardassian. He points to the viewer where the pod is held in the beam. Permission to go take a look at it? Maybe there's something in there we need to see, Captain. Sisko hesitates only a moment. This doctor appeared literally out of nowhere, but so far nothing suggests he's an enemy. In fact, his warning came just before the disturbance. And right now, Sisko needs answers. All right, he nods to Kira. Major, escort the doctor to the nearest airlock. We'll tractor the pod into a hangar bay. Take a security team. Kira looks at Sisko, then at the doctor, clearly not entirely trusting this strange man, but willing to follow Sisko's orders. Yes, sir, I'll take a team. Worf immediately steps forward, hand still on his blade. I'll go as well, the Klingon offers, his deep voice brooking no argument. Worf doesn't like unknowns. If there's danger, he wants to be there to face it. Sisko acknowledges. All right, Worf, Kira, Doctor, move quickly. Dax, bring that pod into docking bay 3. Odo, have a security team meet us there. The doctor gives an enthusiastic salute-like gesture. Alonzi, he says cheerfully, then realizes they likely didn't understand that phrase. Ah, that means let S go. He flashes a grin to Kira and Worf and hurriedly follows as they move out. Kira signals a few nearby security officers, and along with Worf and the doctor, they head for a nearby corridor that leads toward the docking bays. Overhead, the red alert klaxons continue to pulse, and the station's residents remain on edge at this rapid turn of events. Within minutes, the group arrives at docking bay 3. The large chamber, normally used for small craft and cargo loading, is pressurized and waiting. Through the small window of the inner airlock door, the silvery escape pod can be seen held in the blue glow of the tractor beam, now slowly being drawn inside through the bay as force field protected aperture. Jadzia Dax's voice comes over the comm in the bay control panel. Tractor beam is guiding it in. Almost there. Okay, it's inside. Depressurizing the outer bay and raising shields around the bay in case that thing emits anything nasty. A soft clang reverberates as the pod comes to rest on the bay floor behind the now closed exterior doors. The interior atmospheric force field hums to contain any possible hazards. Kira, Worf, the doctor, and 2 armed Starfleet security officers stand ready just inside the inner airlock doors. Kira and 1 officer have tricorders out, scanning the pod from a distance. Worf holds a phaser rifle. He exchanged his melee weapon for a ranged one, given the unknown situation. The doctor, unarmed except his sonic screwdriver, peers through the window with intense focus. I'm not reading any life signs, the Bajoran security officer says, his voice steady but with a hint of nerves. No signals at all, just minimal power readings. Kira nods. She hits the door control, and with a hiss, the inner doors slide open. They step into the bay, weapons trained on the half-cylinder-shaped craft sitting in the middle of the floor. The escape pod is about the length of a shuttlecraft, but much narrower, with strange markings etched into its metal hull, swirling circular patterns that none of them recognize, except perhaps one. The doctor's eyes widen slightly as he notes the markings. A whisper of recognition crosses his face. Those symbols, Gallifreyan script, he murmurs under his breath. Then more loudly, this is from a Time Lord ship, but no, wait. He steps forward quickly, forgetting caution, and begins circling the pod, scanning it with the sonic screwdriver. Worf grunts and positions himself between the doctor and the pod, concerned the doctor might inadvertently trigger something. Stay back until we know it's safe, the Klingon warns. The doctor spares Worf a brief glance. I do know this technology, Commander Worf. His tone is distracted, focused on the task. At least, I think I do. It's similar to my own, but also quite different, like someone tried to copy our technology. He kneels by a small hatch-like seam on the pod's side, which is slightly buckled from its wild ride. Sparks occasionally flicker from the edges. Kira gestures the security officers to spread out, flanking the pod. She herself stands with phaser ready. "Doctor, do you know how to open it?" "Working on it," the doctor mutters. The sonic screwdriver buzzes as he runs it along the seam, searching for a latch mechanism. "I am picking up traces of temporal energy all over this thing. Something had a go at it, probably when it fell through the wormhole." Suddenly, a portion of the pod's hull near the front pops ajar with a puff of gas and a mechanical whir, as if some emergency release activated. Everyone tenses, weapons aimed. The doctor stands back as the pod's hatch slowly slides open with a creak of stressed metal. Inside, flickering lights illuminate a small interior compartment. Hanging in a cradle is what looks like a metallic sphere, about the size of a soccer ball, connected by cables to the pod's systems. It glows faintly with a sickly yellow light. The rest of the pod interior is badly scorched, as if from an internal explosion or fire. There are indeed no signs of crew or passengers, only this central device. The doctor's face goes pale. "Oh no," he steps forward again, leaning in to inspect the sphere. Strange, spidery cracks mark its surface, and the light within pulses erratically. "Careful," Kira hisses, moving closer, phaser still up. But the doctor seems mesmerized. "I know what this is," he says softly, reaching out to hold the sphere gently in both hands. It comes free of its mounts with a click, as if it were meant to be removed. "This is a temporal regulator, highly advanced." Worf eyes it suspiciously. "A weapon?" The doctor shakes his head. "Not a weapon, more like part of a drive system for time travel. Time Lord technology, but altered." He holds it to his ear, as if listening to it, then scans it with the sonic. "It's damaged. If it fails completely..." He trails off, eyes widening in alarm. Suddenly the sphere emits a shrill, rising whine. The pulsing yellow glow intensifies, flickering chaotically. The doctor curses under his breath in Gallifreyan. "Everyone down! It's going to blow!" Without hesitation, he twists, clutching the sphere to his chest, trying to contain it. Worf grabs Kira by the arm and yanks her back behind him instinctively, shielding her with his body. The security officers dive behind a cargo container. In the same instant, the temporal regulator sphere explodes in the doctor's arms with a flash of blinding white light and a concussive burst of energy. Time itself seems to ripple. For a fraction of a second, everything in the bay is illuminated stark white, as if caught in a lightning strike. The sound is odd, more a high-pitched distortion than a normal explosion. Everyone feels a lurch, a sensation of disorientation, as the chronoton wave sweeps through them. Then it is gone. The normal lighting returns. The sphere is gone disintegrated, and the doctor is thrown backwards several meters by the blast, landing hard on the deck. He lies motionless. Kira, recovering from Worf's protective tackle, scrambles to her feet. "Doctor!" she calls, running to the fallen time traveler. Worf is already pushing himself up, amazed to find he's unharmed, save a ringing in his ears. Kira kneels beside the doctor, who is sprawled on his back. To her relief, he groans and coughs, blinking rapidly. His coat is smoking, and there's a scorch mark on his suit, but miraculously, he seems intact. He opens his eyes, looking dazed. "Oh, that hurt," he mumbles. "You're alive," Kira breathes. almost laughing in relief and surprise. She had fully expected him to be dead or gravely injured after shielding an explosion with his own body. Worf stands guard, phaser raised again in case something else happens, while one of the security officers runs to call for the infirmary. The other peers into the now smoking pod interior to ensure nothing else is active. The doctor sits up slowly, assisted by Kira. "Everyone okay?" he asks immediately, coughing once. "No one permanently temporarily displaced? All limbs still attached in the right order?" Kira looks at him incredulously. "We're fine, thanks to you apparently. What were you thinking, grabbing an explosive thing like that?" The doctor rubs the back of his head and winces, but grins weakly. "Couldn't exactly let it vaporize all of you, could I? The containment field of a living Time Lord has its uses. I'm a bit singed around the edges, but I'll manage." Worf steps closer, staring at the doctor with newfound respect and confusion at the mention of Time Lord. "Doctor, what exactly was that device?" The doctor gets unsteadily to his feet, Kira holding his arm until he's upright. "It was a temporal regulator. Basically, it keeps temporal travel stable. That pod must have been attempting to cross through time or dimensions. The regulator was failing. If it blew completely, it could have created a localized time rupture. I had to absorb and disperse the energy." He pats his chest and shakes out his arms like someone who caught an electric shock. "Not the most comfortable experience, but I've had worse on a Monday." Kira just shakes her head in disbelief at his casual bravado. "You absorbed it? How?" Before he can answer, Sisko's voice comes in over the comm channel in the bay. "Sisko to Kira, report. We registered an explosion in the docking bay. Is everyone all right?" Kira taps her comm badge. "We're here, Captain. The object inside the pod exploded, but we're all right. The doctor contained most of it. Pod interior is wrecked. No sign of any pilot or life form." A relieved sigh is audible in Sisko's voice. "Understood. We'll dispatch a medical team and engineering cleanup. Any idea what it was?" Kira glances at the doctor, who takes his cue. He steps closer to the comm panel. "Captain Sisko, it's me, the doctor. The pod was carrying a piece of advanced temporal tech. It went critical, I'm afraid. But there's a bigger problem. That pod didn't just accidentally wander into your wormhole." In ops, Sisko exchanges a look with Dax and Odo. "Go on, doctor," he says. The doctor continues, tone grave. "I suspect it was escaping from something in the Gamma Quadrant that found its way into the wormhole. My guess, that pod was astray from a much larger event. Did your sensors pick up anything else coming through or trying to?" Odo quickly checks his logs. "We recorded a burst of unidentified energy that preceded the pod. Could be the same as the temporal breach you mentioned earlier." Dax, still near the promenade viewer, chimes in. "Captain, that energy was off the charts. I think something big may have happened on the other side of the wormhole." Sisko nods slowly, thinking. "Doctor, what do you think came through? You clearly have a theory." The doctor takes a deep breath. "I do, but I'd rather not say until I'm sure. If I'm right though, Captain, we need to prepare your station for a serious threat, one unlike any you've faced." He looks at each of them gravely. Dax, always the scientist, asks carefully, "Doctor, earlier on the promenade, you seemed to know Captain Sisko by name and about our station. How?" The doctor adjusts his tie reflexively, caught off guard by the change in topic. Well, I've visited a lot of places in space and time. I've actually been to this reality before, though not here specifically, and heard about DS9. Let's just say, in some timelines there's a TV show about you lot." He chuckles lightly, then clears his throat. "But more concretely, the TARDIS's databases have information on many universes. The point is, I knew enough to get here, to this location, because it was a focal point of the disturbance." Sisko decides not to press the specifics of TV show, clearly some reference he doesn't quite get, but he chalks it up to the doctor's eccentric manner. He focuses on the strategic issue. "If what you're saying is true, these Daleks are a grave threat. Odo," he turns to his constable, "increase security patrols. Quietly, no need to panic the entire station until we have more information." Odo nods and exits the wardroom momentarily to relay orders. "Kira," Sisko continues, "contact the Defiant. Have her crew on standby and ready to launch." Major Kira acknowledges. "Yes, sir." She steps over to the wardroom S-side comm to inform Lieutenant Siemdir Worf's deputy to get the Defiant prepped. Worf remains in the room, eyeing the doctor. "How many of these Daleks might there be? Are we talking about a scouting party or an invasion force?" The doctor runs a hand through his hair. "One is bad enough. They rarely come in ones, though. They prefer overwhelming force. The fact that only one pod came out of the wormhole suggests maybe a scout or accident. However," he points upward as if indicating the wormhole above them, "whatever event happened might have opened the door. If they find that door, they'll come through it." Jadzia interjects. "If these Daleks are from another universe, they wouldn't know our territory immediately. Could they be in the Gamma Quadrant now? Perhaps they came through and are facing the Dominion." Sisko rubs his chin thoughtfully. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend? If they attack the Dominion, it could slow them down." The doctor shakes his head vigorously. "If the Daleks are there, they'll attack Dominion, Federation, anyone equally. They won't join forces or take sides. They will simply seek to dominate or destroy all. It could unify your quadrant against a common foe, but let's hope it doesn't come to a full-scale war. The casualties..." He trails off, pained by memory. "We have to contain this quickly." Chief O'Brien, who has been listening quietly, speaks up. "If they're machines, could we not just, say, hit them with an EMP, or jam them up somehow, or beam a photon torpedo to them? I mean, no offense, Doctor, but we have some serious firepower." The doctor smiles a bit at O'Brien's practicality. "None taken, Chief. It's a good thought. The Daleks' armor is incredibly resilient. In my experience, only the most powerful weapons can pierce it, and even then, their shielding adapts quickly. They also have energy shielding, similar to personal force fields. An EMP might slow one down, but they'd likely be hardened against that sort of thing, given their technology is very advanced." He points to O'Brien's engineering badge. "However, they can be beaten. They aren't invincible. I've defeated them before through cleverness, targeting their weaknesses, getting them to turn on each other occasionally. And sometimes with a big cannon, I won't lie. But you have to know how they think. They have no remorse, no fear, and they will not surrender." Worf actually smiles grimly at that. "Then they are worthy opponents for a Klingon." The doctor gives Worf a sidelong look. "Let's not underestimate them, Commander. Courage is vital, but so is caution here." Captain Sisko, absorbing all this, finally moves to a chair and sits, steepling his hands. "So, Doctor, what's our next move? How do we confirm if these Daleks are truly here? And if so, how do we stop them?" Almost as if waiting for that question, Odo steps back into the room, his expression urgent. "Captain, we have a situation. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple unidentified craft on the far side of the wormhole, in the Gamma Quadrant. They just appeared on scans." Everyone's heads snap towards Odo. "Define multiple," Sisko says, rising from his seat. Odo presses his lips into a thin line. "At least 3, possibly more as our sensors update. They are not Dominion signatures, and not any known Alpha Quadrant design. They are holding position near the wormhole's Gamma Quadrant terminus." Dax rises too, grabbing her tablet to double-check the data. "Captain, if they're near the wormhole entrance, we might get a visual if we send a probe or use the wormhole's communications relay." Sisko nods. "Let's get to ops, everyone." He turns to the doctor. "If these are your Dalek friends, not friends, very much not friends," the doctor interjects dryly. Sisko allows himself a quick smirk at that, despite the tension. "If they're Daleks, we'll need you up there to help identify them." The group moves out of the wardroom briskly and into ops, the command center buzzing with red alert activity. Officers are at their stations, monitors flickering with data. The large central view screen is currently displaying a tactical map of the Bajoran wormhole and the space around it. "Report," Sisko barks as he steps down onto the ops floor. A junior officer at Tactical responds. "Sir, 4 contacts now on sensors at approximately 100,000 kilometers inside the Gamma Quadrant, stationary near the wormhole aperture. They appeared just moments ago." "Are they coming through?" Kira asks as she moves to her station. "Not yet, ma'am," the officer says. "They're just sitting there." Dax takes her science post and begins refining the sensor image. "Captain, I'm reading energy signatures from those ships' very high power outputs, but I can't get a clear read on propulsion or weapon systems. They don't match anything in the database." "On screen," Sisko orders. The main view screen switches to a grainy magnified image of the Gamma Quadrant side of the wormhole, shimmering against the star field. In front of it, 4 shapes hover. The resolution is limited at this distance, but they appear as dark silhouettes against the blue swirling light of the wormhole behind them. The doctor stepped closer to the screen, narrowing his eyes. The shapes are like inverted cones or domes with spherical tops. He recognizes the profile instantly. "Dalek saucers," he confirms quietly, dread in his voice. "A recon flight or a vanguard." Worf clenches a fist. "Those are enemy vessels, then." "Without doubt," the doctor says. "Captain, you cannot let them reach Bajor or any populated system." Sisko stands firm, arms behind his back as he assesses the situation. "Agreed. Now that we know they're there, any chance we could just close the wormhole? Seal it somehow?" He glances at Dax, who looks uncertain. "The wormhole's mouth isn't something we can just close manually," Dax replies. "The prophets, the wormhole aliens, control that phenomenon to some extent, but we don't have that capability. The best we could do is collapse it forcibly with a massive explosion, but that would cut off Bajor's greatest resource and strand our people in the Gamma Quadrant," Kira adds. "Not to mention angering the Bajorans. The wormhole is sacred to them." The doctor interjects gently. "And it might not stop the Daleks anyway if they've already got a foothold. They'd just find another way, or it would only delay them." Sisko frowns. "Options, people? We have enemy ships on the other side of the wormhole. We could send the Defiant through preemptively to engage them before they come here. but that risks war in the Gamma Quadrant without backup. Worf immediately offers. The Defiant is built to fight the Borg. It may fare well against these Daleks. O'Brien, now down in engineering coordinating power, chimes in on the comm. We don't know their capabilities yet. That might be walking into a death trap if their tech is beyond ours. The doctor raises a hand to draw attention. If I may, rushing to engage might not be wise yet. The Daleks may not know exactly what they're facing either. They might be assessing the situation. If we provoke them outright, they'll certainly retaliate with full force. Odo glowers. And letting them make the first move could be worse. Sisko looks to the doctor. What would you suggest? You fought them before. The doctor draws in a breath, thinking rapidly. The Daleks will attempt to scout and then establish a stronghold. If they're sitting at the wormhole, they might be scanning the area, or possibly communicating, maybe even trying to see if this space has Dalek-friendly environments or allies. Unlikely they'd find any allies here, but they might be contacting their command if any exists in their own time. He rubs his chin. One option, try communication first. Not to negotiate they won't, but to size them up or stall. Sometimes engaging them in dialogue can buy time or reveal something. I'd be willing to try talking to them. This raises eyebrows around Ops. Talk to them? Kira repeats doubtfully. You said they exist to exterminate. What good would talking do? The doctor shrugs. They know me. If they realize the doctor is here, it might rattle them, or at least change their approach. And I might confirm what their immediate plan is through the conversation. Sisko considers. If we open a channel through the wormhole, we risk them coming through immediately. Dax notes, actually, sir, the wormhole is already open. It likely opened to let that pod through and has remained active due to the presence of those ships. We have a comm relay buoy that can project a signal to the Gamma side. Sisko nods. All right, let's try. But the moment it looks like they're moving our way, prepare to fight. He points to Worf. Get to the Defiant, ready to launch on my signal. Kira, you'll join him. Miles, maintain power to shields and weapons at maximum. Worf inclines his head and marches to the turbolift without argument. Kira briefly touches Sisko's arm, a gesture of solidarity, then follows Worf, already calling for a security detail to join them on the Defiant. O'Brien responds with a quick, "Aye, sir," and continues adjusting power distribution from engineering. Now in Ops remain Sisko, Dax, Odo, the Doctor, and a handful of junior officers at their posts. Sisko steps up to the communication station. Open a channel towards those ships. If they have any listening devices, I want them to hear us. The young ensign at comm nods nervously. Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on all likely frequencies. Sisko straightens and in his deep, commanding voice addresses the unknown vessels. Unidentified vessels near the Bajoran wormhole. This is Captain Benjamin Sisko of the United Federation of Planets. You are entering Federation territory. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. A classic Starfleet hail, calm, authoritative. For a moment, only static hisses from the speakers. The wormhole on screen swirls idly, the four dark shapes still hovering. The Doctor steps forward and subtly gestures that he might speak. Sisko gives a short nod, and the comm officer keeps the channel open. The Doctor raises, his voice clear and resonant. Dalek Fleet, this is the Doctor. He puts a slight edge in his tone. I know you're there. Whoever's commanding that squadron, you know me. I'm asking you not to do this. Turn around and go back the way you came. This universe is not yours for the taking." A heavy silence. Then, without warning, one of the shapes on the screen begins to move, gliding forward closer to the relay buoy. The image auto-zooms, bringing it into focus. A saucer-like spacecraft bristling with glowing lights and protrusions. The underside has a greenish circular array, possibly a weapon emitter or engine, and the hull gleams bronze and steel. A harsh, grating electronic voice suddenly blares through the comm speakers, loud enough to make some in ops wince. The voice is unlike any they've heard. Each word screeches with metallic resonance. "Attention station. You will surrender the Doctor to the Dalek fleet." Everyone in ops flinches at the sheer hostility in that amplified voice. Sisko's eyes narrow at the demand. The Doctor grimaces. "They've noticed me then," Dax whispers. "They can detect you specifically?" The Doctor nods. "They likely scanned the station, recognized the TARDIS or my biological signature. They always could sniff me out." Sisko retakes control of the channel, voice firm and unyielding. "To whom am I speaking? This is Captain Sisko. We do not hand over people seeking asylum on our station. The Doctor is our guest and under our protection. You are trespassing in Federation space." The Dalek voice screeches back immediately. "I am Dalek Supreme Commander. You are irrelevant. Surrender the Time Lord known as the Doctor or be exterminated." A second, slightly different rasping voice joins in, as if another of the units is broadcasting. "All non-Dalek life forms will surrender or be exterminated," Odo mutters under his breath. "Charming negotiation skills." Sisko's tone grows even icier. "This is a Federation installation. We will defend ourselves." His hand makes a subtle motion to Dax to begin targeting. The main Dalek voice returns. "You have been warned." Abruptly, the communication cuts. On the view screen, the Dalek saucers start moving, 3 of them forming up into a triangle formation, one remaining near the wormhole mouth as if to secure their exit route. The other 3 orient toward the wormhole entrance leading to the Alpha Quadrant and begin gliding forward into the tunnel, vanishing into the swirling aperture. "They're coming through," Dax announces. Sisko wastes no time. "All hands, battle stations, ray shields, arm phasers, and quantum torpedoes." As the red alert klaxon continues, the calm teal-blue swirl of the wormhole on screen suddenly flashes angry orange, indicating multiple objects forcing their way through at high velocity. Seconds later, 3 shimmering orbs of light burst out of the wormhole on the Alpha Quadrant side, just beyond DS9. They quickly solidify into the ominous saucer shapes of Dalek warships. Each saucer is about 150 meters across, smaller than a Galaxy-class starship, but bristling with weaponry. They spread out in a tactical formation, like predatory birds encircling prey. Immediately, the station's automated targeting sensors lock on. "Target the lead ship," Sisko commands. From DS9's outer docking ring, multiple phaser arrays unleash brilliant lances of energy. Golden beams streak across the darkness, converging on the nearest Dalek vessel. The phasers strike the saucer shields in flashes of light. The lead Dalek saucer shields flare a sickly green where hit but hold. The Daleks retaliate instantly. Emerald bolts of high-energy plasma spit out from the saucers, slamming into DS9's shield bubble. The station shudders under the impact. Consoles flicker, and a deep thrum reverberates through the ops deck. "Shields holding at 90D," Odo reports, bracing himself at a panel. as another hit lands and the station trembles. On the screen, a second Dalek saucer opens fire, peppering the station with rapid-fire bursts. DS9's shields glimmer with each impact along the habitat ring and pylons. Multiple weapon impacts across our shields. Their firepower is significant, Dax says, fingers dancing over her console to reinforce shield sectors and cycle frequencies. The doctor watches the battle unfolding, heart pounding. He's been in many battles, but rarely one like this commanding a space station under attack by Dalek ships. He feels a pang of guilt that his enemies have brought this fight here, but there's no time to dwell. He focuses on any way he can assist. Captain, they will likely try to board or target critical systems. Daleks often attempt infiltration alongside bombardment, he warns urgently. Sisko nods curtly. Acknowledged. He taps the comm line to engineering. O'Brien, route emergency power to shields and structural integrity. Keep those phasers firing. Down in engineering, O'Brien hangs onto a railing as the station shakes again from a glancing blow. Already on it, sir. Phasers firing continuously, charging the starboard power coupling for an extra punch on the next volley. Torpedoes are armed and ready. In ops, Sisko grips the railing behind Dax's chair. Fire torpedoes, full spread at those ships. DS9's torpedo launchers flare to life, hurling a volley of quantum torpedoes. 4 brilliant blue-white orbs streak out toward the attackers, 2 aimed at the nearest saucer, 2 at the next. They detonate against the Dalek shields in blinding bursts. One saucer is engulfed in a massive explosion as 2 torpedoes hit it dead on. When the flash clears, that saucer is listing, one of its side sections blown apart, lights flickering. It begins to drift, trailing smoke and debris. A small cheer goes up from a junior officer at Tactical. Direct hit. 1 enemy vessel disabled. The victory is short-lived. The second saucer that was hit emerges from the torpedo blast with only minor hull damage and continues its assault, adjusting its position. Meanwhile, the third saucer swoops around, possibly trying to flank DS9 from the other side of the station. Suddenly, an urgent call from Kira on the Defiant comes through the comm. Defiant to DS9, we're launching now. Through the viewport strips of ops, Sisko glimpses the sleek, compact form of the USS Defiant detaching from its docking clamps. The warship slides out and accelerates away from the station, its engine nacelles aglow. On the main screen, the Defiant streaks toward the nearest active Dalek saucer, not the heavily damaged one, but another. Worf's determined voice comes over the channel. Targeting enemy ship, firing pulse phasers. The Defiant's forward cannons unleash a rapid series of orange energy pulses. They pepper the saucer's shields in quick succession, each impact sending ripples across the Dalek shield bubble. Then the Defiant follows up with a sustained burst from its phaser cannons, accompanied by a pair of quantum torpedoes at near point-blank range. The combined barrage is devastating. The targeted Dalek saucer shields collapse, and the hull is punched through by the torpedo detonations. The saucer erupts in flames, splitting into pieces as secondary explosions rip it apart. Fiery debris scatters into the void. 1 enemy ship destroyed, Dax reports, unable to hide a smile of relief. The station crew and ops exchange quick, hopeful looks. The tide seems to be turning, but the fight is far from over. The initially disabled saucer, though drifting, isn't completely out of the fight. With a sputter, one of its remaining weapon arrays powers up. Suddenly, from its underside, a bright beam of green light lances out. Instead of targeting the station's main hull, the beam focuses on a seemingly empty patch of space along one of DS9's docking pylons. In a split second, it slices downward. An entire section of DS9's shield grid around an upper pylon flickers and fails. "Captain, they've punched a hole in our shields," a tactical officer shouts. "Sector 15 on the promenade level just lost shield coverage." Sisko snaps into action at once. "They'll try to board us. Security teams to Section 15 on the double. Odo, get your people there now." Odo is already one step ahead. "On my way," he growls, and bolts for the turbo lift. As he goes, he concentrates and shifts form, flowing into a liquid state to move faster. The changeling sluices through a grated floor vent, using the station's infrastructure to descend rapidly toward the promenade. The doctor watches him go, then turns to Sisko. "I'm going too. You'll need all hands." Sisko nods sharply. "Go, and be careful, Doctor." The doctor sprints out of ops, heart in his throat, heading for the promenade via an emergency stairway. The turbo lifts are temporarily halted due to the impacts. He knows exactly what is likely to come through that breach. Down on the promenade, Section 15 is near an airlock very close to where the TARDIS still stands. A handful of civilians and off-duty personnel in that area are fleeing, panic on their faces, as red alert lights flash overhead. At the coordinates of the shield failure, along an outer bulkhead, the hull suddenly glows cherry red and then white hot. With a horrific grinding noise, an entire bulkhead panel is being cut open from the outside, molten metal dripping from the seams. Station security officers rush toward the area. 2 Bajoran deputies and a Starfleet ensign skid to a halt, raising phasers. They exchange nervous looks as the metal wall falls inward with a thud, smoke billowing. Through the jagged opening in DS9's hull, 3 floating figures drift in, propelled by small thruster units on their backs. As they drop to the deck with heavy thumps, the security team gets their first clear look at them. Each is about 5 feet tall, encased in bronze-colored metal. They look like conical tanks with domed tops. A single blue-lit eye stalk protrudes from each dome, and below that, a gun-like appendage juts out on one side, balanced by a strange plunger-like manipulator arm on the other. The lower half of each casing is studded with round protuberances, sensor globes. The lead intruder's eye stalk swings to survey the corridor, taking in the fleeing people and the security team aiming weapons. It screeches in that same terrible voice heard over comms. "Exterminate!" Chaos erupts. The security officers open fire immediately. Phaser beams lance out, striking the lead Dalek. But a shimmering energy field surrounds the creature. Each phaser blast disperses harmlessly against its protective shield. The Dalek returns fire with a vengeance. Its gunstick unleashes a searing bolt of green energy. The nearest Bajoran officer takes the hit directly and is vaporized almost instantly, his body disintegrating with a cry before the other's horrified eyes. Screams echo as civilians sprint for cover. One of the other 2 Daleks glides forward, swiveling to target a cluster of bystanders who are scrambling into a storefront for shelter. The 3rd Dalek moves with methodical purpose to a nearby wall console. Its plunger arm slams onto the interface and twists, the tip glowing. The panel sparks and melts as the Dalek begins interfacing, likely trying to disable station security systems or open airlocks. Odo arrives first on the scene, slithering out of a wall grate as a stream of liquid that pools and rapidly rises into his humanoid form behind the Dalek at the console. With a feral snarl, Odo throws himself at the machine, his usually rigid form flowing to wrap around the Dalek's dome and eye stalk. He tries to pin its gun arm toward the floor. "Get off my station!" he roars as he wrestles with surprising strength, using his amorphous body to try to jam the Dalek's moving parts. The Dalek thrashes violently. "Intruder! Unhand me!" It squawks in mechanical outrage. Its anti-grav engine whines as it rotates and bucks, smashing Odo against the corridor wall. Odo grits his teeth, forming a mouth purely to do so, and holds on, determined to restrain the thing. Meanwhile, the Doctor rushes into the promenade at the opposite end. He sees, in a flash, one Dalek engaged with Odo, one further down blasting at something to the right, likely chasing those civilians, and one near him turning its weapon on the remaining security officer who was firing desperately. The Doctor's mind races. His only tool is the sonic screwdriver. It won't injure a Dalek, but maybe he can create a distraction or disrupt their equipment. He decides to target the Dalek interfacing with the station systems, the one Odo is grappling, since if it gains control of station functions, things could get far worse. He takes cover behind a support column and points the sonic at the console that Dalek is plugged into, tweaking the frequency to overload circuits. The screwdriver emits its signature high-pitched whir. Sparks explode from the wall console, right under the Dalek's plunger arm. The interface short circuits, and a shower of electrical feedback surges into the Dalek. Its eye stalk jerks upward, momentarily blinded by the flash. "Device interference detected!" it screeches, pulling back from the sparking console. The Dalek's dome swivels wildly, and it spots the Doctor partially exposed behind the column. "The Doctor!" it blares upon recognizing him. Abandoning the half-melted panel, the Dalek turns its fury fully on its old enemy, swinging its gun arm up. "Uh-oh," the Doctor mutters. He ducks just as the Dalek fires. A bolt of green energy sizzles past, obliterating a chunk of the column and the wall behind it in a burst of flame and debris. The Doctor scrambles on all fours behind a heavy Ferengi souvenir cart, which promptly explodes as the Dalek blasts it to pieces. "Yeah, it's me," the Doctor shouts, more bravely than he feels, trying to keep the Dalek's attention on himself and away from the fleeing bystanders. "Hello, fancy seeing you here." That enrages the Dalek further. "Exterminate the Doctor!" it bellows, barreling forward now, dragging Odo along as the constable still clings to its back, trying to twist its upper casing. The Dalek doesn't even seem to care that Odo is still hanging on and is hell-bent on reaching the Doctor. At that moment, a volley of yellow energy blasts strikes the second Dalek, the one chasing civilians. The blasts come from the side, a high-powered Bajoran phaser rifle. Major Kira stands on an upper promenade balcony, having returned from the Defiant specifically to help repel boarders. She fires again and again, emptying the rifle's power cell into the Dalek's side. The Dalek's shields flare bright blue with each impact. Each shot weakens the field more. Finally, one of Kira's blasts penetrates the Dalek's casing sparks, and a panel blows off its side. The Dalek emits a warbling shriek and spins around, collapsing in a heap with smoke pouring from the breach. "Got one!" Kira shouts triumphantly. She immediately slings the rifle off her shoulder to slap in a fresh power pack, eyes already seeking her next target. Down below, that leaves two Daleks, the one Odo and the Doctor are contending with, and one more, initially the lead Dalek, which has been relatively unscathed and is now bearing down on the last Starfleet security ensign, protecting a group of civilians cowering behind an overturned table. That Dalek fires, and the young ensign is thrown against a wall with a cry, alive but badly wounded, and down. The civilians scream as the Dalek moves closer, weapon charging for a lethal shot. Suddenly, orange pulses slam into that Dalek from behind rapid-fire bursts that splatter its shield. The source, Lieutenant Commander Worf and a team of Defiant security officers, arriving via a corridor after Worf left the bridge to assist in person. He's wielding a heavy-duty compression phaser rifle, and 2 security crew with him add their phaser fire. Under the concentrated crossfire, the Dalek's shield shimmers intensely. With a crackle, it overloads and drops. One of Worf's shots then burns a blackened hole into the Dalek's upper casing. The creature lets out a high-pitched wail. Odo, still grappling the other Dalek, sees an opening and acts. Having partially shapeshifted his arms into thick, viscous cables around the Dalek, he now flows, altering one arm into a crude, sharp spike. With a grunt of effort, he jabs it into the joint between the Dalek S-dome and base. The Dalek jerks violently. Odo's strike doesn't pierce fully, but it distracts the Dalek at the critical moment its shield fails. Its eye stalk swivels uselessly. Suddenly, Odo's spike smashes into the eye stalk, cracking the lens. "Vision impaired! Vision impaired!" The Dalek screeches, its vision now gone. It thrashes in confusion, trying to shake Odo off and shooting its weapon wildly. A green bolt lances into the second-level railing above, narrowly missing Kira as she ducks. The Doctor peeks out in time to see that Odo and Worf's combined efforts have effectively neutralized one Dalek's shields and blinded it, and Kira has downed another. Only the flailing blind one and the partially disabled one Odo was wrestling remain active, and the blind one is one errant shot away from killing someone by luck. The Doctor decides to finish it before it can. He fishes into his coat and pulls out a small cylindrical device, a makeshift plasma cutter he cobbled together in the TARDIS long ago. Not ideally a weapon, but it projects a short, intense plasma beam for cutting through machinery. "I'm sorry," the Doctor murmurs, knowing a cornered Dalek can be reasoned with. He steps out from cover and rushes toward the blinded Dalek from the side. Its gun fires again, blasting a ceiling light to pieces, but it doesn't see him closing in. He activates the plasma cutter. A focused beam of blue-hot plasma extends a few feet from the device in his hand. With precision born of both technical knowledge and righteous anger, the Doctor thrusts the plasma beam right under the Dalek's dome, at the seam of its upper casing, where he knows the mutant inside is seated. The plasma beam slices in like a knife through butter. The Dalek's armor, strong as it is, gives way at this vulnerable joint. There's a burst of foul smoke and an unearthly scream from within as the creature inside is incinerated. The Dalek shudders and goes still, a trail of flame licking out from under its dome. Odo unwinds himself and steps back as the metal shell topples with a heavy clang to the deck. Silence falls on the promenade, broken only by the crackle of small fires and the distant thrum of DS9's weapons firing at the remaining space battle outside. 3 Daleks lie destroyed or disabled on the deck. The one Kira shot is completely down, a smoldering ruin. The one the Doctor just finished is similarly lifeless. The third that Odo initially tackled is inert as well, its dome sparking, eye stalk snapped off, possibly still alive internally but unable to fight. Kira descends the stairs swiftly, rifle still ready, scanning for any further threats. "Area secure," she calls. Worf and his team sweep through the area, checking corners and the downed Daleks, phasers trained on each until confirmed inactive. Medical personnel arrive moments later to tend to the wounded ensign and a few civilians who suffered minor injuries in the chaos. The doctor stands catching his breath, chest heaving from adrenaline. He looks over the smoking Dalek shells with a mixture of triumph and sadness. It's never a good day seeing them here. "I wish it hadn't come to that," he says softly. Odo reforms himself fully back into his humanoid shape, smoothing his uniform with dignity, despite a crackle of residual energy dancing across his arm. He dismisses it with a shake. He regards the doctor with his usual stoic expression, though there's a hint of respect in his eyes. "You handled yourself well, Doctor," he states simply. The doctor meets Odo's gaze and nods. Coming from Odo, that's high praise. "You too, Constable. You literally held one down impressive." Odo grunts, perhaps the changeling equivalent of a modest shrug. "It had to be done." Worf steps over the ruined chassis of a Dalek, his ridged Klingon brow splattered with a bit of greenish Dalek ichor from the one the doctor cut open. He seems invigorated by the combat. "The station?" he asks into his comm badge, wanting an update on the space fight. Kira taps her own comm badge, answering Worf's implied question. Kira to Sisko. "Intruders have been stopped. 3 Dalek units down. Casualties minimal, 2 security injured, 1 critically, plus a few civilians with minor injuries. No fatalities on our side, thank the prophets." Sisko's voice comes back through the comm, taut but with relief underlying it. "Acknowledged. Good work. We still have 1 enemy ship active out here. Defiant and Station are engaging. Could use you back aboard the Defiant if possible, Major." "On my way," Kira responds promptly. She turns to Worf. "Let's finish this." Worf gives a quick nod to the doctor, something almost like a respectful salute of his rifle. The doctor can see in the Klingon's eyes an acknowledgement that he has proven himself in battle. The doctor, though not a warrior by nature, returns a faint smile. Kira, Worf, and the security team hurry back towards the docking port where the Defiant is moored. They had only come a short distance onto the station to handle the boarding. Worf pauses for a split second by the doctor and offers a brief nod. "You fought with honor," he says quietly. Then he and the others are off at a jog. Now only Odo, the doctor, and a couple of stunned security officers remain amid the wreckage. Quark peeks out from behind the bar. He had ducked into a safe room the moment shooting started. Seeing the danger apparently over, he creeps out, surveying the charred holes in his establishment S sign and the mess on the promenade. "My bar?" he mutters mournfully, though he stops short as Odo gives him a withering glare. This is no time for his complaints. Odo quickly barks orders to his deputies to cordon off the area and guard the remains. "Doctor," Odo says, turning to him, "I need to see to my injured people and secure these things. You should get back to Ops or somewhere safe. There might be more." The doctor flexes his hand, the one that held the plasma cutter, noticing it shaking slightly now that the adrenaline is wearing off. "Of course, I'll help any way I can." But before he can offer more, the station reverberates with a different tone, one of triumph. The red alert klaxon continues, but there's a report from Dax to all channels. "All clear. The last enemy ship has been destroyed. Repeat, All clear in space. The doctor and Odo both pause to absorb that. The external battle is won. Sure enough, seconds later, Sisko's voice comes through. Attention all hands. The immediate threat is contained. Stand down from red alert, but maintain readiness. Medical and damage control teams to all affected sections. Odo nods once and immediately goes to coordinate the securing of the Dalek remains. The doctor, feeling a tremendous sense of relief and weariness, makes his way to a nearby turbolift to head back to Ops and regroup. As he arrives in Ops a few minutes later, he sees a sight that brings a huge grin to his face. The main viewer shows only 2 pieces of Dalek debris drifting near the station. One destroyed saucer and one heavily damaged but intact saucer held in a tractor beam. No active hostile contacts remain. The Defiant can be seen cruising slowly back toward the station, escorts from the Starfleet reinforcements, which had begun arriving mid-battle, forming up. Captain Sisko stands at the center of Ops, issuing orders for mopping up. Secure that remaining Dalek vessel with tractors. Engineering, prepare a containment field in case we bring it into a docking bay. Damage report. He spots the doctor stepping off the lift. Sisko breaks into a broad smile and crosses to him. Before Sisko can even speak, the doctor blurts out, 3 Daleks down on the promenade, Captain. Everyone's mostly okay down there. Sisko lets out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. I heard. Well done, Doctor. Truly. The doctor gives a tired smile. It was a team effort. Your people are exceptional. Dax swivels in her chair. Captain, that last active saucer tried to retreat toward the wormhole, but the Defiant and our torpedoes stopped it just short. The other disabled one is still out there, adrift. We're keeping a tractor lock on it. Sisko nods. Doctor, any interest in a little salvage operation? I'd like to capture at least one of those ships intact, if possible, for intelligence. But I don't want to risk any surprises. The doctor nods immediately. Absolutely. If we can get aboard, maybe we can learn how they got here, and if more will come. Precisely. Sisko taps his comm badge. Odo, status of promenade? Odo's voice comes back, noise of the cleanup audible behind him. Under control, Captain. Securing the remains. I can break away if needed. Good. Meet the doctor and Chief O'Brien in Docking Bay 1 in 10 minutes. We're sending a runabout to board that disabled Dalek ship. Acknowledged, Odo replies. Sisko then contacts O'Brien to have him assemble boarding gear and asks Dax to prep a small team. Soon after, the doctor finds himself aboard the runabout Yukon with Odo, Chief O'Brien, and 2 Starfleet security officers. Through the viewport, the Dalek saucer looms as they approach under thruster power. It's listing, dark except for occasional flickers, clearly in bad shape from the torpedo hits. They don environmental suits as a precaution. The doctor slips on a borrowed Starfleet EVA suit, tucking his sonic screwdriver and a couple of other gadgets into easy reach. Docking at the breach point, O'Brien says, as he pilots the runabout carefully. The Dalek ship has a gaping hole on one side where Dax's torpedoes punched through. The runabout latches onto the jagged edge with magnetic grapples sealing the hatch. The team cycles the airlock and steps into the alien craft. The corridors are dimly lit by flickering red emergency lights. The architecture is scaled to Daleks, wide, with smooth floors and low control panels along the walls. The air smells acrid burnt metal and something chemical. They move cautiously. A fallen Dalek lies in one corridor, apparently thrown by an explosion. It doesn't react as Odo prods it with his phaser rifle muzzle, likely inactive or dead. Reading minimal atmosphere, no hazardous toxins beyond trace dalekanium, O'Brien reports from his tricorder. No movement. They make their way to what appears to be the command center, a circular chamber with an array of interfaces and view screens, some cracked. In the middle stands a pedestal-like console unit. There is one Dalek here, still upright before a console, but it is clearly damaged. Its casing is fractured, one hemisphere blown off its skirt section. It turns slightly as they enter, but sluggishly. "Intruders on bridge," it croaks, voice distorted and weak. The team fans out, weapons trained. Odo steps forward, phaser aimed. The Dalek lifts its gun, but only a pitiful spark emits the weapon is offline. The doctor holds up a hand, halting Odo from firing immediately. He steps just slightly ahead of the others, addressing the battered Dalek. "It's over. Your fleet is destroyed or disabled. Surrender." The Dalek swivels its eye stalk toward the doctor. "The doctor, you are a prisoner of the Daleks," it wheezes, repeating its earlier demand, though it has no leverage now. It tries to fire again. A feeble green bolt peters out and scorches the floor a meter away. Odo has seen enough. In a flash, he sets his rifle to heavy stun and blasts the Dalek. The beam strikes the dome squarely. The Dalek jolts, its lights flickering. When Odo releases the trigger, the Dalek is still. Its eye stalk droops. The once active blue lens darkens to black. Only a faint erratic clicking inside its casing indicates some systems still running at low power. "Good shot," O'Brien says softly, lowering his own weapon. The doctor steps closer carefully. The Dalek is inactive, but presumably not dead. Its casing is now dark and unmoving. "Stun should keep it docile for a while," the doctor comments. "We can transport it to the station brig if needed, though I'd advise extreme containment measures." Odo nods curtly. "We'll put it in a level 10 force field cell." Meanwhile, O'Brien accesses the consoles, patching his tricorder into what remains of the Dalek computer. Downloading whatever I can from their databanks. There's damage, but I think I can get partial logs. His tricorder screen scrolls with strange symbols, Dalek language. This might take a while to decode, but I see coordinate charts and what looks like fleet data. The doctor peers over his shoulder. "Let me help." He adjusts his sonic to interface and translate, whirring it at the console. Lines of data flicker, converting to a crude Federation basic readout. O'Brien's eyes widen. Looks like they had detailed scans of the Gamma Quadrant beyond, the wormhole. They were mapping strategic targets, and here, he points to a series of numbers and Dalek script. It is a transmission log. They were sending a signal. The doctor frowns deeply. A signal back through the wormhole, perhaps, trying to contact reinforcements. Odo's expression hardens at that. "Did any signal get through?" O'Brien scrolls. "It looks incomplete. I think we disrupted them before they could send everything. It might not have gone through fully." The doctor exhales in relief. "Let's hope not. If a full-scale Dalek fleet knows about this gateway..." He doesn't need to finish the thought. They gather what they can, salvaging a few small pieces of Dalek tech, like one of the blaster arms, a data core, and secure the stunned Dalek in a portable containment field generator. Then they carefully return to the runabout, towing their captured prizes. Back on DS9 later, the station is abuzz with both celebration and repairs. Starfleet reinforcements have arrived in earnest. Several starships now patrol around DS9 to ensure no new threats come through the wormhole, at least for now. The Bajoran government has sent gratitude, and news spreads quickly of how the crew of DS9, with the help of a mysterious doctor, repelled an incursion of deadly aliens. In the wardroom, Captain Sisko convenes a final meeting with his senior staff and the doctor to debrief and consider next steps. The Dalek captive has been placed in a containment cell in the station's secure science lab, its armor removed with difficulty to reveal a withered, squid-like mutant that is kept sedated and under heavy guard. Starfleet intelligence is eager to study it, though Sisko has half a mind to jettison the creature into a star rather than risk any chance of it escaping. The data gleaned from the saucer indicates a worrying possibility. These Daleks came from a much larger war or fleet somewhere in some other reality. They may have been flung here by accident. The Doctor theorizes that the Time War, the colossal conflict between his people and the Daleks, created fractures in space-time. The Bajoran wormhole, being a unique construct existing outside linear time due to the prophets, may have intersected one of these fractures. So it might have been a one-time event, Dax muses, swirling a cup of Raktajino. Random chance that brought them here. Perhaps, the doctor says, standing by the window with arms crossed. But perhaps not entirely random. Their data indicates they were quick to map and plan, suggesting they intended to establish a foothold and call for more Daleks. Worf, arms folded, rumbles. Had any more come through, we would have had a much harder fight. Kira shudders at the thought. We barely managed with 3 ships, a dozen or more. She doesn't finish. Sisko is quiet, contemplating. Then he looks at the doctor. Earlier, you mentioned the wormhole aliens' prophets might help. Any progress on that front? The doctor smiles. Funny you should mention it. I was about to suggest exactly that. If the prophets can prevent further breaches, Sisko stands, decision made. Then we should ask them. I'm the emissary, they might listen to me. Kira nods firmly. If Bajor's prophets can close the door to these monsters, we absolutely should ask. The prophets have saved us from the Dominion once. I'm sure they'll see the danger in these Daleks. Sisko looks around. I'll take a runabout into the wormhole. Doctor, would you accompany me? You might be able to explain the situation to them better, given your first-hand knowledge of the Daleks. The doctor inclines his head. Of course, Captain. I have some experience with non-linear beings. He winks at Dax, referencing her symbiont nature playfully. Worf immediately offers. The Defiant can escort you. Sisko shakes his head. No, I think the fewer people the better. The prophets might respond better without a show of force. And I don't want to inadvertently provoke or confuse them. Truthfully, Sisko feels an odd tugging in his soul at the thought of meeting the prophets now, with such a cosmic issue at hand. It reminds him of when he begged them to save Bajor from the Dominion fleet. Within the hour, the Doctor and Sisko board a runabout, the Rio Grande, and depart DS9, heading straight for the shimmering mouth of the wormhole that hangs like a jewel in space. On the station, the crew watches their departure with both hope and a bit of anxiety. But they trust their captain and the enigmatic doctor to convince the prophets to secure their home. As the runabout enters the wormhole, the swirling colors of the tunnel reflect across the doctor's face. He marvels quietly. It's beautiful, traveling through an actual stable wormhole. Sisko pilots deftly, bringing the runabout to a relative halt in the wormhole's central void. "This will do," he says softly. He closes his eyes and focuses inward, calling out not with voice, but with thought and feeling. "Prophets, hear me. It is the emissary. I seek your guidance and your aid." For a moment, nothing. Then the stars beyond the cockpit vanish, replaced by a blank white expanse. The runabout interior itself fades away. Sisko and the doctor find themselves standing on the promenade. It looks like the DS9 promenade, but empty and bathed in ethereal light. Sisko looks down and realizes he is now wearing casual clothes, an outfit he once wore years ago while on Earth fishing with his father. The doctor remains in his usual suit and coat. The prophets likely didn't have a frame of reference to change him. Suddenly, figures appear, just as before in Sisko's past encounters. People from Sisko's life. His late wife Jennifer steps out from behind Quark's bar, smiling serenely. His son Jake appears leaning on a railing. Curiously, one figure appears that the doctor recognizes from archival records. Kai Opaka, the former Bajoran spiritual leader who knew the prophets. And finally, another figure strolls. Casually out of a bulkhead, it is in the guise of Quark, the bartender, wiping a glass as if nothing were amiss. These are not actually those people, of course. The doctor realizes with fascination that these must be the wormhole prophets manifesting in forms from Sisko's memory to communicate. All four figures speak in unison, a gentle chorus. "Emissary, why have you returned?" Sisko steps forward. He feels that strange mix of calm and frustration he always gets with them. The prophets have immense power, but think so differently. "Prophets, I have come to ask for your help. A dangerous enemy invaded your temple, the wormhole. He gestures to the doctor at his side. "We're able to stop them for now, but more may come." The Jennifer prophet tilts her head, studying the doctor. "You bring the outsider." The Opaka prophet adds, "He is not of Bajor." Jake prophet, "He is not of our universe." The Quark prophet's eyes narrow at the doctor. "He carries the stench of the other about him." The doctor feels an odd pressure in his mind, as if these beings are probing him. "Hello," he says politely. "I am the doctor. I guess you might consider me a fellow traveler. I too am somewhat outside of time." He clears his throat. "The ones who came through Daleks are not linear in the way you dislike. They are foreign to this place. They mean harm to Bajor and to your temple." Sisko steps in, voice urgent but respectful. "They are the ones who hate prophets. They will destroy everything if they are allowed to remain or return." The prophets exchange looks with each other, a silent conversation that flashes faster than a blink. The Jennifer prophet turns to Sisko. "The Sisko is of Bajor. The Sisko seeks our intervention again." The Opaka prophet walks up to the doctor, peering at him as though peering through him. "This one is like us, yet not like us. A plane of time surrounds him." The doctor has an odd sensation that the prophets can see the Time Lord biology, the regenerative energy, the timeline he carries with him. Jake prophet, "He fought the other." Quark prophet, "The other lies beyond, wounded but not dead." The doctor frowns. "Other, wounded but not dead. Could they sense the Dalek influence or something else?" Sisko, sensing time is strange here, tries to refocus them. "Prophets, please. The Daleks came through a crack in space-time connected to the wormhole. You once closed the wormhole to stop invaders. We ask that you do so again, stop these Daleks from coming, or send them back where they came from. Bajor must be protected. The Jennifer Prophet smiles kindly at Sisko. We have already acted. The game has ended here. Opaka Prophet, who has taken a step back and now appears as her robed self again, adds, "They do not belong. They have been removed." The doctor interjects carefully, "Forgive me by removed. Do you mean you will send any that try to come through away, perhaps back to their own universe?" The Quark Prophet looks at him with something almost like amusement. "We have cast the shadow into the wind. The path is closed." Sisko knows that's as straight an answer as one gets from them. "So, no more will come through? You've sealed the breach?" Jake Prophet nods. "We will not permit them. They will find no purchase here." Relief washes over the doctor and Sisko. "Thank you," Sisko says sincerely. "You have my gratitude and that of Bajor." The prophets begin to drift back. The Jennifer Prophet lingers a moment, reaching out to touch Sisko's face gently. The Sisko has completed another task. He feels a warmth at her touch. "Am I done then?" he asks quietly. The prophets never gave him a clear job description for being emissary. The Jennifer Prophet simply smiles that enigmatic smile. "The game is never truly over, emissary." And with that, the environment flashes bright. Sisko and the doctor find themselves back in the runabout cockpit, as if no time passed. Instruments that had frozen now flicker alive. Outside the viewports, the wormhole looks calm, and as it always does. Sisko lets out a breath. He feels strangely at peace. "They said it's done." The doctor nods slowly, checking his own scanners. The chronoton traces that had been lingering from the breach are fading away rapidly. "Yes, I suspect any further attempts by the Daleks to force into this reality via the wormhole will simply fail. The prophets will block or redirect them." They set course back to DS9. Upon exiting the wormhole, a cheer goes up on the station. Sisko and the doctor beam directly to Ops, where they are greeted with broad smiles. "It's done," Sisko announces to his crew, a rare, full smile on his face. "The prophets will not allow any more Dalek incursions through the wormhole." Spontaneous applause and sighs of relief spread through Ops. Kira even gives a joyful whoop, something those on the Ops deck thought they'd never hear from the usually composed Major. The immediate crisis is over. Over the next day, Starfleet Command conveys their astonishment and commendations to DS9's crew, though they classify nearly everything about the Daleks, deeming it top secret. Captain Sisko recommends that the doctor be officially thanked, perhaps with some honor, but the doctor demurs any formal recognition. "I prefer to keep a low profile, if it's all the same," he says with a grin. "Mysterious benefactor, that sort of thing." Word spreads in quieter channels among Starfleet and Bajoran circles of the Doctor, a traveler who helped save DS9. Some liken him to a figure of prophecy themselves. Kira half-jokingly suggests to Sisko that the Doctor might be some sort of Bajoran prophecy fulfillment too, arriving in their hour of need like the emissary did. Sisko isn't sure about that, but he's glad for the help, regardless of mystical interpretations. Finally, the day comes for the Doctor to depart. His TARDIS has been patiently standing on the promenade the whole time, surprisingly without any attempts by unscrupulous parties to break into it. Quark thought about it, but Odo's glare when he loitered too near dissuaded him. The crew insists on a small gathering to see him off. They assemble at midday on the promenade near the TARDIS. Life on the station is returning to normal. Vendors have reopened their shops. Engineers are finishing welding a new bulkhead plate where the Daleks breached. Quark is already back to hawking drinks and complaining about scorch marks. The senior staff, Sisko, Kira, Dax, O'Brien, Bashir, Worf, and Odo, with Quark hovering at the fringes, surround the Doctor as he prepares to leave. They chat amiably for a while. Dax can't contain her scientific curiosity and asks for a peek inside the TARDIS. The Doctor obliges with a flourish, opening the blue doors to reveal the impossibly spacious interior beyond. One by one, the DS9 officers step in, eyes widening at the huge control room with its ornate coral-like columns and glowing central console. "It's incredible," whispers Jadzia, looking around in wonder. "It's more spacious than my quarters," O'Brien jokes, gaping at the vastness beyond the console hallways leading into unknown rooms. Kira just shakes her head, quietly uttering, "Prophets," in awe of the impossible sight. Even Worf is impressed, though he tries to hide it behind a gruff nod of approval. A warrior could live in here and never lack space. Bashir is already peppering the Doctor with questions. "Two hearts, a binary vascular system, right? How does your circulatory system handle?" The Doctor laughs, raising his hands. "Plenty of time for biology lectures later, Dr. Bashir. Or, well, actually no, I'm afraid I'm due to head off." They exit the TARDIS back to the promenade, the crew expressing thanks once more. Captain Sisko steps forward and extends his hand to the Doctor. The two men shake warmly. "Doctor, on behalf of Deep Space Nine and the Federation, thank you. You risked your life to help us. We won't forget it." The Doctor waves off the formality with a grin. "All in a day's work for me. I couldn't stand by and let those Daleks harm such good people. Besides, I quite enjoyed working with you lot." Kira smiles genuinely. "You know, if you're ever in our neck of the woods again, maybe drop by when we're not in a life or death situation. I owe you a spring wine." The Doctor chuckles. "I might just do that. I'd love to see Bajor under more pleasant circumstances." Dax folds her arms, teasing. "We expect plenty more stories next time, too. I've got a few old Curzon tales I'd trade for one of yours about, say, the moons of Jupiter." "Deal," the Doctor says with a wink. Worf steps forward and, in a very Klingon gesture of respect, pounds his chest with a fist. "You have fought with honor, Doctor. Kapla." That one-word success, or good luck in Klingon, carries significant weight coming from Worf. The Doctor returns the gesture clumsily, earning a chuckle from Worf. "Kapla, Commander Worf, try not to pick any fights with omnipotent beings while I'm gone." Worf almost smiles at that quip about Q, whom the Doctor knows about in passing. Odo is more reserved. He simply meets the Doctor's eyes and says, "Safe travels, Doctor." In his tone, the Doctor senses a deep appreciation. Odo adds gruffly, "And if you ever need a security chief with a strong grip, you know where to find me." The Doctor beams. "I certainly do. Don't change too much, Odo, except perhaps into a mouse once in a while to catch Quark off guard." Quark, who was within earshot, huffs. "Haha, very funny. I'd rather not see that particular show. Thank you." Quark then steps up, holding a bottle of something green and bubbling. "Before you go, Doctor, one last thing." He offers it. A bottle of Kanar Cardassian liquor. Not the best year, mind you, it's cheap, but consider it a token of Quark's gratitude. He grins that Ferengi grin. The Doctor accepts the bottle, amused. "Ah, thank you, Quark. I'll be sure to share it with some Cardassian friends, perhaps. It might strip paint off the TARDIS if I try it myself, he jokes. Quark laughs. You see? He gets Ferengi generosity. He wanders off, likely already planning to name a cocktail after this event. The doctor's orders, perhaps. Bashir shakes the doctor's hand as well. It was extraordinary meeting you. I rather hope to learn more medical wonders from you, but perhaps another time. The doctor nods. Oh, I've picked up a thing or two across the universe. I'd say keep up the good work here, Dr. Bashir, and eat some fruit now and then, 2 hearts or 1. Scurvy's a killer. Bashir chuckles at the random advice. Finally, Captain Sisko speaks up as the doctor stands at the TARDIS door. Doctor, one last thing. Sisko's face is thoughtful. In all your travels, if you ever come across something related to Bajor or the Prophets, will you let us know? I feel we've become, in a way, part of a larger universe, thanks to you. The doctor tilts his head. You always were, Captain. But, yes, I will. I suspect your role with the Prophets is far from over. Maybe I'll drop by in, say, another lifetime. He gives a mysterious smile that makes them all wonder just how literally he means that. With final waves and words of thanks, the doctor steps into his TARDIS. He takes one last look at the assembled crew, the family of friends that he has come to admire in this short time. It's always a bit bittersweet, leaving good people behind. One thing I've learned, he says, poking his head out the door for one final remark, is that no matter how dark the universe gets, there's always someone willing to stand up and fight for what's right. You lot proved that here. Never forget it. Sisko inclines his head with a solemn, warm expression. We'll remember, Doctor, and know that you'll always have friends on Deep Space Nine. The doctor's face lights up. That means more to me than you know. He steps fully inside and closes the door. The blue box stands for a moment among them. Then that familiar wheezing, groaning sound begins. The light atop the box flashes. In and out, the TARDIS fades from view, the ancient engines hauling it away into the time vortex. Within seconds, it's gone. The crew disperses slowly, each returning to duties. A few civilians who had been watching clap, then life moves on. DS9, saved once again, resumes its rhythms though, with a new story to add to its rich lore. Captain Sisko lingers a moment on the promenade, gazing at the spot where the TARDIS was. He then turns and heads back toward Ops, spinning his cherished baseball in one hand and feeling hopeful about the days to come. Far off, beyond the Bajoran system, a lone escape pod drifts in space, a Federation life pod from a ship reported missing weeks ago near the Gamma Quadrant side of the wormhole. Inside, a single figure sits at the controls, a man with a neat beard and a cunning smile. He had picked up faint whispers of cosmic turmoil and followed an obscure trail to this universe, arriving too late to partake in the chaos at DS9. On the pod's console, a monitor replays scrambled security footage from Deep Space Nine, data he had covertly tapped via subspace. It shows glimpses of the doctor saying farewell to the crew and disappearing in his TARDIS. The man in the pod chuckles softly to himself. So, the doctor was here after all, he purrs, his voice cultured and dripping with malice-tinged amusement. Meddling in yet another universe, are we? This man known in the doctor's universe as the Master leans back in the pod's pilot seat, fingers steepled. His dark eyes glitter with intrigue and mischief. Perhaps it's time I paid a visit to this Federation and its space station. He tilts his head thoughtfully. Deep Space Nine, was it? I'm sure they'll welcome a new friend. A smirk plays on his lips. He reaches forward and inputs a new course into the pod's navigation system. The engines hum to life, pivoting the small craft toward the distant star that harbors Bajor and DS9. The master allows himself a light, mirthless laugh. If the doctor can have such fun here, just imagine what I can do. As the pod accelerates to warp, stars streak past the viewport. The master casts one last glance at the image of DS9 on his screen. Ready or not, here I come, he murmurs, and with a flick of his fingers, he dismisses the image, replacing it with a swirling cascade of sensor data. He studies it with lazy fascination, eyes half-lidded, as if reading the most entertaining novel in the quadrant. Federation starships clustering around the Bajoran system, elevated power signatures on the station, residual chronoton traces still clinging to space near the wormhole like the aftertaste of a strong drink. Such a mess you leave behind, Doctor, he says softly to the empty cabin. Temporal scars, terrified bureaucrats, and a universe trying very hard to pretend it still makes sense. He leans back, hands folded behind his head, letting the pod fly itself. The cramped walls hum faintly, not at all worthy of a Time Lord, but sufficiently anonymous. It advertises him as nothing more than a stray Federation survivor, which is exactly what he wishes to be for the moment. On one of the auxiliary monitors, he replays a looping frame of the security feed. The doctor, standing on the promenade, coat swaying, talking animatedly to that stern human with the shaved head. Benjamin Sisko, emissary, the master thinks, savoring the word. Religious significance, command authority, a connection to those non-linear entities in the wormhole. So many strings to tug. He watches the doctor grin, wave, and vanish into the TARDIS. The master pauses the image on the Dr. S face, studying it. There's that familiar, infuriating sincerity, that relentless belief that the universe can be saved one clever speech at a time. You always leave just when it becomes interesting, the master muses. But that is all right. I have never minded cleaning up after you. He taps a command into the console, bringing up a diagram of Deep Space Nine. Circular habitat ring, towering pylons, a spider web of docking ports and access corridors. He zooms in on the internal structure, reading notes from the Starfleet database he pilfered on his way here. Crew manifests, command hierarchy, cultural notes on Bajor and Cardassia, medical profiles of key officers. He lingers on Odo S entry, eyes gleaming. A shapeshifter security chief, he murmurs. Now that could be entertaining. And a trill with multiple lifetimes. A former Klingon officer from that other starship. A genetically enhanced doctor. Such a charming collection of misfits, Doctor. No wonder you felt at home. He brings up the wormhole schematic next. The so-called Celestial Temple. Stable aperture. Non-linear entities residing within. The master feels a subtle thrill run up his spine. The Time Lords fought wars over lesser anomalies. Beings who exist outside time, worshipped as gods, he whispers. And you, Sisko, their emissary. What stories your mind must hold. What access you must have. For a moment, the cabin seems too small, the pod too slow. He imagines stepping onto that station, offering a friendly hand, an easy smile, a carefully constructed lie. He imagines standing in ops, feeling the hum of power under his feet, the wormhole hanging in space like a gateway begging to be exploited. He imagines the Dr. S face when he realizes who has been there in his absence. Softly, almost unconsciously, he begins to hum a rhythm under his breath. 4 steady beats. The timeless drumming at the back of his mind, the sound that has been with him since childhood. Bum, 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 bum. It syncs with the Pod S engines until he cannot tell which created which. Soon, he tells the invisible drums, we will have a new stage. Time passes. Stars smear into lines and then dots again as the pod drops out of warp near the edge of the Bajoran system. The master sits up, all languor gone. His fingers dance over the console with liquid precision, masking certain energy signatures, amplifying others. He alters the Pod S transponder code, correcting it back to its original registry. USS Acheron, science vessel, lost with all hands near the Gamma Quadrant side of the wormhole. Lost, he says, tasting the word. Found. Traumatized but brilliant, grateful to his rescuers, eager to be of service. Yes, I think Lieutenant Commander Harold Marlowe will do nicely. He studies his own reflection in the viewport for a moment, then reaches into a side compartment and pulls out a neat Starfleet uniform jacket. Blue with a red shoulder yoke. Medical and command colors intermixed in a way that will invite questions, not suspicion. He shrugs into it effortlessly, buttoning it with the ease of a man who has worn hundreds of uniforms in hundreds of wars. His features soften, the cruelty in his eyes muted behind a layer of charming fatigue. The smile he practices in the glass is small, self-deprecating, with just enough haunted edge to earn sympathy. His posture shifts from predatory to mildly uncertain, an accomplished actor slipping into his role. Computer, he says lightly, addressing the Pod S simple systems. Broadcast a distress signal on standard Starfleet emergency channels. Attach priority survivor code Acheron 7-1. The Pod S transmitter crackles to life, sending out a ping that will be picked up by the net of sensors around Bajor within seconds. The master leans back, folds his hands in his lap, and waits. On Deep Space Nine, the normal routine of post-crisis stabilization continues. On the promenade, welders in orange vests patch the scarred bulkhead where the Daleks cut through. In Ops, Dax monitors the wormhole S serene swirl, relieved to see no further anomalies. Odo stalks through security reports, eyes scanning for anything out of place. Sisko stands at the viewport of his office, watching the star field and thinking about prophets and emissaries and the strange Time Lord who dropped into his life and vanished again. The chime of an incoming priority signal cuts through Ops. An ensign at communications looks up sharply. Captain, we are receiving a distress call, she says. Federation emergency code. Sisko steps out of his office almost before she finishes. Source? Small craft, life pod class, she replies. Transponder identifying it as an escape pod from the USS Acheron. That ship was reported missing 3 weeks ago near the Gamma Quadrant edge of Dominion space. Dax is already bringing up a tactical view. A lone blinking icon appears near the System S outer marker. Signal is weak but clear, she says. Looks like one occupant. Pod systems are failing. If we do not act quickly, we may lose them. Sisko feels the familiar pull of duty. After all the destruction they have just survived, the idea of leaving a single survivor to die in the void is intolerable. Lock on with tractor beam, he orders. Bring it into one of the auxiliary docking bays. Inform Dr. Bashir to be ready for a possible critical patient. Dax's fingers move swiftly. Tractor engaged, she reports, guiding it toward docking bay 5. On the promenade, repair crews glance up as the red alert lights flicker briefly to amber near the docking ring. Not an emergency this time, only a ship coming in hotter than comfortable. Chief O'Brien, still in a torn uniform from earlier repairs, taps his comm badge as he hears ops rerouting power to the docking tractor emitters. O'Brien here. Miles, we re-bringing in a damaged escape pod on the quick, Dax's voice answers. Docking Bay 5. We may need a steadier hand on the power flow. I am on it, he says. Try not to bang it too hard, eh? I just got those couplings back in spec. In the medical bay, Dr. Julian Bashir straightens from his console as the call comes through. Bashir. Doctor, Sisko's voice says, we have an incoming survivor from the Acheron. Unknown condition. He could have been adrift a long time. Be ready for decompression injuries, malnutrition, possible radiation exposure. Bashir's eyes light with that blend of concern and excitement only a dedicated physician understands. Understood, Captain. I will prepare a biobed and full trauma support. He turns to his staff. Let S move, people. Prep 1 and 2. Triage scans on standby. By the time the pod is cradled gently in Docking Bay 5, the station is ready. Pressure equalizes with a hiss. The outer hatch of the pod grinds open with protesting hydraulics. A faint, stale odor wafts out, the scent of recycled air and anxiety. A figure sits slumped at the controls, still wearing a helmet and sealed environment suit. The suit is scorched along one sleeve and smeared with some unidentifiable residue. One gloved hand remains on the console, as if the pilot simply fell asleep mid-course correction. Odo is there in person, his expression unreadable. 2 security officers flank him, phasers holstered but loose. Bashir hovers beside a gurney, med kit in hand, eyes already scanning for visual signs of trauma. Let S get him out of there, Odo says. His voice is gruff but not unkind. Whatever else he is, he respects survivors. The security officers move forward, release the harness clasps, and gently lift the figure from the seat. The pilot's arms hang limp as they lay him onto the gurney. Bashir's tricorder chirps as he starts a scan through the suit. Still alive, he announces. Pulse elevated but stable. Dehydration, elevated stress markers, but nothing immediately critical. I am reading some neural stress, like he has been exposed to prolonged low-level anxiety stimuli. Nothing like the Borg patterns. Interesting. Odo glances at him. Interesting is not a diagnosis, Doctor. Bashir smiles faintly. No, but it means he is not dying in the next 30 seconds. Let me get his helmet off. He unseals the clamps and lifts the helmet away. The master blinks against the brighter station lighting and forces his features into a dazed, reluctant relief. His hair is neatly trimmed, streaked slightly with gray in a way that suggests experience more than age. His beard is well kept, his eyes warm brown and tired. He squints up at the faces leaning over him. For a heartbeat, his gaze lingers on Odo's amber eyes, reading the suspicious intelligence there. Then it shifts to Bashir's concerned face, cataloging the doctor's youth and earnestness. Where? He asks, voice hoarse as if from long disuse. He lets the word trail off, just enough to sound weak. You are on Deep Space Nine, Bashir says gently. A Federation space station in orbit of Bajor. I am Dr. Julian Bashir. You were picked up drifting near the system. For a fraction of a second, as he hears the name, something flickers behind the Master's eyes. Deep Space Nine. Reality aligns with plan. The flicker is gone instantly, replaced by carefully measured gratitude. Deep Space Nine, he repeats slowly, as if searching memory. The Acheron, we lost our starboard nacelle. There was an explosion. I do not remember everything. How long? Your ship was reported missing 3 weeks ago, Bashir replies. You have been very lucky. Lucky, the master echoes. His mouth curves into a small, weary smile. That would be a first. Bashir laughs softly, charmed despite himself. Let us get you to the infirmary and run a full panel. Then you can tell us everything you remember. Odo steps forward, studying the man on the gurney. Name and rank, he says flatly. The master turns his head slightly, as if the question pulls him out of a fog. Lieutenant Commander Harold Marlowe, he answers. Chief Temporal Physics Officer, USS Acheron, Starfleet serial number 47129 Alpha Epsilon. The numbers are precise, the cadence exactly what Odo expects from a Starfleet officer recalling his ID. Odo-S brows knit anyway. There's something about the man's eyes he does not like, something that feels like a mask over a deeper pool. I will verify that, Odo says. Of course, the master replies easily. I would expect nothing less. They wheel him toward the infirmary, security trailing at a discreet distance. The master allows his gaze to drift, as if taking in the station for the first time. The promenade stretches around them, a ring of shops and faces and light. Somewhere above, he can feel the faint pull of the wormhole, like a pressure at his temples. He passes Quark S Bar and notes the Ferengi watching with avid curiosity. He sees Kira standing near a repair crew, conferring with a technician, her posture sharp and impatient. He glimpses Dax on the upper level, leaning over a railing, her spots drawing his eye. Each one is cataloged and filed in an instant. Potential sympathies, potential lever points, potential threats. By the time they reach the infirmary, he has constructed the outline of his story. The Acheron was mapping subspace fractures near the Gamma Quadrant when they encountered a temporal disturbance. The ship was hit, damaged, and boarded by unknown hostile machines. He was separated from the rest of the crew in the chaos. His escape pod was flung away on a random trajectory. He remembers flashes of metallic voices shouting about extermination, but nothing clear. He does not know, he will say, that they were the same Daleks the station just fought. He was unconscious before he saw them. Bashir runs his tests. Blood work, neural scans, cellular health. The results only confirm what the master already knows. On the surface, he is human. Heart rate slightly irregular, stress hormones elevated, some minor radiation exposure consistent with a damaged warp core. His brainwave patterns show the complex structures of a highly intelligent mind, but nothing that flags as alien to Federation equipment. Physically, you are in remarkably good shape for someone who has been adrift that long, Bashir says, impressed. Your resilience probably saved your life. The master smiles modestly. I have always been good at surviving, he says. It is something of a hobby. Sisko arrives midway through the examination, summoned by Odo-S report. He steps into the infirmary, his presence filling the room. The master senses authority before he even turns his head. Lieutenant Commander Marlowe, Sisko says. I am Captain Benjamin Sisko, commander of this station. The master turns toward him and lets his eyes widen just a fraction. Captain Sisko, he says, I have read about you, the emissary. Kira, who has followed Sisko in, stiffens slightly at the title spoken by an outsider. Sisko's jaw tightens with discomfort. He does not flinch from the truth, but he does not relish it either. "This is a Federation station," Sisko says evenly. "On duty, you can call me Captain. Off duty, Benjamin will do." "Understood," the Master says smoothly. He shifts, wincing as he pretends a twinge in his side. "I apologize. It has been a strange few weeks." "Can you tell us what happened to the Acheron?" Sisko asks, cutting gently to the point. The Master exhales slowly, gaze unfocusing as if dredging up painful memory. "We were on a mission to study unusual temporal readings. In the Gamma Quadrant," he says, "there were reports of distortions, echoes from some larger conflict. Starfleet wanted to know if it posed a threat." Bashir glances at Sisko. Dax's earlier analysis of temporal disturbances fits this perfectly. "We detected a surge of chronoton radiation near a sector adjacent to Dominion space," the Master continues. "Then something ripped through our sensor grid. It was like nothing I have ever seen. A shudder in reality itself. The Acheron took a direct hit. Consoles exploded, people screaming, alarms everywhere." His voice remains steady, but he allows a slight tremor into his hands, just enough to be plausible. "And then?" Sisko prompts. "And then they came," the Master says quietly. "Metal shells, floating, with a single eye and a terrible voice. They burned through our hull like paper. They killed anyone in their path. I tried to initiate a temporal dampening field, but the generators overloaded. The next thing I knew, I was in an escape pod, tumbling through something. Time, space, both. The chronoton levels in our sector must have spiked when that thing exploded. After that, only drift." He lets the silence stretch before adding, in a softer voice, "When I heard the voices, I thought perhaps I had gone mad. They kept shouting one word over and over, exterminate. I assumed it was a nightmare, but I see now you know them as well." Sisko's eyes darken. The simplicity of the word carries weight now for everyone on the station. "We encountered the same machines," Sisko acknowledges. "They attacked this station. We repelled them, with some help." "From the Doctor," the Master says with careful neutrality. Sisko's gaze sharpens. "You know of him." The Master smiles faintly. "Temporal physics, Captain. You do not spend your career poking at the fabric of time without hearing whispers of a certain wanderer who does the same with far less caution." Bashir chuckles. "That sounds like him." Kira eyes Marlowe critically. "So you are some sort of temporal specialist," she says. "We have had our share of those." "Oh, I suspect you have," the Master says mildly. "From what I know, this region of space has been quite busy." Sisko trades a look with Odo. The Constable's expression is sour, but he gives a small nod. For now, the story holds. For now, the man is who he says he is. "We will debrief you more thoroughly once you have rested," Sisko says. "In the meantime, you are a guest on this station. Dr. Bashir will keep you under observation for 24 hours. After that, we will arrange temporary quarters." The Master inclines his head. "Thank you, Captain. You have my gratitude." Sisko offers a brief, genuine smile. He believes in helping survivors. He believes in second chances. It is one of the things the Master finds most exploitable about him. When they leave, the Master lies back on the biobed and closes his eyes as if exhausted. Inside, his mind races. He has gained entry. He has a cover story aligned with their recent trauma. He has invoked the Doctor's name in a way that suggests distance, not familiarity. For the moment, he is harmless. He listens to the faint hum of the infirmary S systems and feels, like a distant heartbeat, the subtle tug of the wormhole, the Prophet's domain, the celestial temple, non-linear entities watching from above. "Ready or not," he murmurs again, too quiet for Bashir to hear as the doctor adjusts a monitor. "I am already here." The lights in the infirmary dim slightly as the station cycles into its artificial evening. Bashir finishes his rounds, his assistants retreating to the other side of the room, leaving the master in what appears to be peaceful solitude. The doctor lingers for a moment, studying the readouts projected above the biobed, and for an instant his brow furrows as if noting some tiny anomaly in the neural scan. Something faint, something that might be dismissed as stress or prolonged isolation, something that he decides, ultimately, is not worth troubling a recovering patient over. The master keeps his breathing slow and even, feigning sleep. He listens as Bashir steps away, hears the soft chirp of the medical console powering down to standby, feels the movement of the doctor as he dims the room's ambient lighting. Bashir stands there a moment longer than expected, as though contemplating a question he cannot quite form, and then, in a faint exhale, he leaves the room. The master waits another full minute, counting heartbeats and the distant hum of power relays, before opening his eyes. The infirmary is quiet now. Shadows stretch across the floor, broken only by the faint glow of emergency strips lining the walls. He turns his head slightly, checking the positions of the two night shift nurses. They are on the far side of the room, monitoring a pair of patients in stasis fields after earlier injuries. Neither has a clear line of sight to him. Good. The master sits up slowly, careful not to trigger the bed S alarm. He had already sabotaged that earlier by shifting one of the cortical sensors just enough to feed the system a comfortable lie. He swings his legs over the edge of the bed and stands. His footing is steady. His expression is calm. He tests his limbs with a quiet roll of his shoulders, feeling the strength in them. There is always some adjustment after long travel. Time energy lingers in the bones, the mind, the rhythm of thought. But his body is steady now, and that is all he needs. He crosses the infirmary with that same measured gait, eyes alert, scanning every reflective surface as he passes for the faintest hint of surveillance. DS9 is not the most paranoid station, but Odo-S influence permeates the structure like invisible ink. The changelings had once infiltrated Starfleet itself. Odo learned from that and fortified every level accordingly, which makes this all the more enjoyable. He stops at a diagnostic console, taps in a seemingly benign sequence. The system hums as it loads, data from the Station S sensor net, assuming the command came from Bashir. The master scrolls until he finds what he needs: internal surveillance grid, security patrol routes, access restrictions for guest quarters. He memorizes them all in seconds. A soft cough echoes behind him. One of the nurses shifts position, turning slightly toward the console. The master tilts his head as if reading something confusing in the medical file, his posture weary. When the nurse-'s gaze slips past him again, he quietly locks the terminal and steps back, letting the room swallow him in shadow once more. He returns to the biobed, lies down, and settles in as though preparing for a long sleep. The faintest smile touches his lips. He is in, and the station has no idea. The morning cycle begins with the warm shift of lights, brightening slowly to mimic sunrise. Bashir returns with renewed energy, gently rousing him for another round of scans. The master stretches with mild stiffness, offering half-formed apologies for any trouble he caused during the night. Bashir assures him that his recovery is proceeding smoothly. While Bashir speaks, the Master's mind is elsewhere, listening to the footfalls outside. He hears Odo's familiar cadence approaching even before the doors slide open. Odo enters with that precise, deliberate stride. He glances at the medical instruments, then at the Master, then at the data paddle in his hand. "I verified your identity," Odo says flatly. The Master offers an expression of subdued relief. "Good. I imagine things are tense on this station right now. I would hate to add to the chaos." "Your Starfleet record matches what you told us," Odo continues. "Your serial number, your assignment, and even your handwriting samples from Academy evaluations." Bashir looks pleased. The Master keeps his face neutral. "But," Odo adds, eyes narrowing, "I find it suspicious that your escape pod suffered no hull breaches despite evidence of severe internal malfunction." "Pods are designed for stress," the Master says lightly. "Yes," Odo replies quietly, "but not that much stress." The Master holds Odo's gaze, reading his suspicion, reading the quiet thoughtfulness behind it. He lets a flicker of vulnerability cross his face. "Constable, I have not processed everything that happened yet. If I remembered something useful, I would tell you. I am not hiding anything." Odo studies him with those blank, liquid gold eyes, as if peering straight through the skin and bone into the hidden machinery beneath. For a brief moment, the Master wonders what it would feel like to be examined by a changeling in their formless state. Would Odo detect the rhythm under his skin? The faint hum of a double heartbeat? The threads of regeneration energy woven through his nerves? Eventually, Odo gives a curt nod. "You will remain under observation for the rest of the day. After that, temporary quarters, and you will report directly to me for debriefing." "Of course," the Master says. "I want to help." "Help," Odo repeats with skepticism. "We will see." He leaves as abruptly as he arrived, coat billowing behind him. The Master watches him go, amused. Odo is dangerous, not because he suspects him already, but because he is fundamentally incorruptible, hard to deceive, even harder to predict, a worthy obstacle. Bashir clears his throat. "Do not take it personally. Odo is cautious with everyone, especially these days." "No offense taken," the Master replies with a warm smile. "Frankly, I would worry if he was not skeptical." Bashir laughs at that, and the Master files away the reaction. The doctor is disarmingly easy to win over. As the hours pass, the Master endures more scans, more polite conversation, more expressions of concern. He answers questions with a mixture of truth and artfully crafted hesitation. People trust a man who struggles through trauma. People reveal more to someone they believe is fragile. He plays that part carefully, making sure not to overdo it. By midday, Sisko arrives to check on him again. "How are you feeling, Commander?" Sisko asks. "Better," the Master replies. "Still drifting, mentally. It's a strange being somewhere safe again." Sisko's face softens. "You have been through a great deal. Take your time. But when you are ready, I would appreciate any details you can recall. The Daleks are not enemies we can afford to underestimate." The Master nods, allowing a shadow to pass through his eyes. "I understand. If the Acheron S readings survived, the data could be crucial." "That brings me to my next point," Sisko says. "Once you are released from medical care, I would like you to join Lieutenant Dax in reviewing any fragments recovered from your pod. You may be the only expert we have who can make sense of them." The master offers a perfectly measured hint of hesitation. "I will do my best. But Captain, if the doctor is still in this sector, perhaps he should be—" Sisko raises a hand. "The doctor left, and he made it clear he was not staying. For now, we must handle this ourselves." "Of course," the master murmurs. "I only ask because he understands these machines." Sisko's eyes tighten. The Doctor's departure has unsettled him, though he hides it well. A man like Sisko carries burdens heavily and privately. "When you are ready," Sisko says, "report to Ops. Dax will be expecting you." When Sisko leaves, the master reclines against the pillow and lets the moment wash over him. Soon, he will be in Ops. Soon he will walk past the control panels, the power relays, the interface systems that tie the station to the wormhole's energy matrix. Soon he will see the docking control junction where the doctor once stood. And soon, very soon, he will touch the station's systems himself. He waits patiently as the afternoon drifts on. Bashir eventually releases him, satisfied that his health has stabilized. Odo arrives personally to escort him to his assigned quarters. The master follows with a slight limp, a subtle reminder that he is still recovering. People trust the wounded. The quarters are small but comfortable. Odo gives a series of succinct instructions about safety protocols, access permissions, and curfews. The master listens attentively, nodding at all the right moments. "Do you have any questions?" Odo asks. "No," the master replies. "You have been quite thorough." Odo studies him again, suspicion simmering beneath the surface. "If you recall anything new about the Daleks," Odo says quietly, "no matter how small, I want to know immediately." The master offers a sympathetic, tired smile. "Of course, Constable. After all, we all want the same thing. Safety." Odo's eyes narrow at that, but before he can respond, a comm signal interrupts. "Constable," Sisko's voice calls, "report to Ops. We have a situation." Odo taps his badge. "On my way." He leaves without another word. The master stands in the doorway of his assigned quarters, watching him vanish down the corridor. When he is certain he is alone, he steps inside and lets the door slide shut behind him. For a moment, he remains perfectly still. Then the smile fades. His spine straightens, his eyes sharpen. The mask of exhaustion melts away, replaced by the cold precision of the Time Lord he truly is. He surveys the room. He takes 3 steps toward the wall console, and then, delicately, he touches it with 2 fingers. Energy ripples faintly beneath his skin. A whisper of temporal sensitivity washes through him. He closes his eyes, and he feels it. Beyond the station walls, beyond the orbit of Bajor, beyond the smooth, tranquil swirl of the celestial temple's aperture, a vibration, a pulse, a whisper carried by the currents of non-linear time. He hears them, the prophets, watching, listening, curious. The master opens his eyes and exhales sharply in satisfaction. "Good," he murmurs. "Let us see how long your curiosity lasts." He turns away, gathers himself, and prepares to play the next phase of his role. As he steps back into the corridor, he catches the tail end of voices drifting from around the bend. Familiar voices now. Kira's sharp cadence, Dax's easy confidence, Worf's low growl. He walks toward Ops, letting their words reach him. "Another temporal fluctuation?" Kira is saying, irritated. "Right. After we just finished cleaning up from the last one?" "It's faint," Dax replies. "Localized near the wormhole, but unlike anything we saw during the Dalek incursion." Worf grumbles. Temporal events rarely happen in isolation. One threat invites another. The Master smiles to himself. How right the Klingon is. He enters Ops just as Sisko turns toward the turbo lift. "Commander Marlowe," Sisko says. "Good. We were just discussing something that may require your expertise." "Captain?" the Master asks, feigning concern. Dax steps forward, handing him a data pad. "This is a readout from the wormhole. Chronoton density surge. Very small, but distinct. Nothing matching the Dr. S. TARDIS signature." The Master pretends to examine the data. Inside, he feels the wormhole humming again. The Prophet's watching him. And something else, something faint. Something that has followed him. Something he hoped would. He closes the pad slowly. "This," he says quietly, "is not from the Daleks." Sisko's eyes narrow. "Then what is it?" The Master looks at him, letting a shadow fall across his expression. "I think you may have another visitor coming." The Master lets the room settle into silence after his final words. The air in Ops seems to tighten. Crew members glance at one another with unease. The wormhole, once again, has become the eye of a storm they cannot yet see. Sisko steps closer, authority radiating from every controlled movement. His voice drops into that low command tone that can quiet an entire deck. "Commander, what exactly do you mean by another visitor?" The Master takes a slow breath, as if gathering fragments of half-forgotten data. A signature like this usually comes from someone traveling along tangled pathways of time. Not unlike the Daleks, but more refined, more controlled. Someone who uses the flow of temporal currents, almost as a guide. He meets Sisko's gaze with weary gravity. Someone who knows how to arrive exactly where they intend. Bashir, who had come up from the infirmary just moments earlier, stiffens. "Are you saying another of your original intruders survived?" "No." The Master shakes his head. "This is not Dalek. This is something entirely different." He taps the pad, highlighting a thin spike of chronoton density. "This is deliberate, a pinpoint arrival. And whatever or whoever it is, they are coming directly toward Deep Space Nine." Dax studies the readings over his shoulder. These patterns almost resemble the faint imprint we detected when the Doctor first arrived. Not identical, but adjacent. The Master keeps his features neutral. Time travelers often leave unique impressions on the fabric of space. But this feels familiar. To me. Worf steps forward, narrowing his dark eyes. "If this visitor is hostile, we should prepare defenses immediately." Kira folds her arms. "We just finished blowing up Daleks in our corridors. You'll get no argument from me." Sisko turns toward Tactical. Red alert. The lights in Ops immediately shift, the deep crimson hue reflecting off the central consoles as the alert klaxons pulse through the station once more. The Master remains still, savoring the heavy atmosphere. Tension crackles like static around him. Fear, anticipation, curiosity. He feels it all. Sisko faces him again. "Commander, is there anything else you can tell us?" The Master hesitates, carefully crafted, wholly intentional. "I would be speculating." "Speculate," Sisko orders. The Master inclines his head slightly. "If this signature resembles the Dr. S, then it could be someone from his world, his species, a Time Lord." Dax's eyebrow lifts. "Another one, after what we just dealt with?" "Oh," the Master murmurs softly. "Time Lords are among the most dangerous beings you will ever meet. Brilliant, arrogant, unpredictable, some benevolent, others less so." Worf's hand drifts toward his weapon. "Define less so." The Master's lips curve very slightly. A subtle, almost imperceptible smile. You will know if you meet one. Sisko studies him with sharpened suspicion. Then we all prepare for all possibilities. The master nods. A wise decision. Ops bursts into motion as orders fly. Shield frequency shifts. Battle-ready protocols. Worf contacts the Defiant to prepare for immediate launch. Kira coordinates security teams across every level. Odo issues quiet instructions to seal off key bulkheads. The crew moves with practiced rhythm, their minds already circling the potential enemy. The master remains on the ops deck, standing with poised calm, absorbing every inch of the unfolding chaos. He watches the wormhole as it opens on the main screen, the familiar blossom of radiant light unfurling like some cosmic flower. The swirling blue and gold interior rotates, alive with impossible energy. A shiver of temporal resonance sweeps across the deck. Dax gasps softly. Another fluctuation, stronger than before. The master stands perfectly still. Inside him, something cold and triumphant stirs. Sisko leans forward. Sensors? Object emerging from the wormhole, the tactical officer calls out. Small, shuttle-sized, but readings are strange. No warp signature, no impulse trail. Visual, Sisko commands. The viewer sharpens. A ship drifts out of the wormhole, sleek, angular, with a metallic sheen unlike anything in the Federation database. It rotates slowly, almost lazily, as though savoring its entrance into this universe. Bashir murmurs, that does not look like any design I've ever seen. Dax frowns. Sensors can penetrate the hull. No life signs, no readings at all. The Master-S eyes gleam faintly. Sisko-S voice snaps across ops. Raise shields, prepare to hail. Dax taps the console. Channel open. Sisko straightens. Unidentified vessel. This is Captain Benjamin Sisko of the United Federation of Planets. You have entered protected space. Identify yourself immediately. Silence. No movement. No lights. Just the slow, spinning drift. Sisko tries again. Voice. Harder. Identify yourself. Still nothing. The master inclines his head slightly, as if listening to an echo no one else can hear. The ship suddenly stabilizes, ceasing its rotation. Every console around ops chirps warnings simultaneously. Energy spike, Dax calls. Captain, the vessel is powering something. I can tell what the wormhole flares behind it, rippling with temporal waves. And then the vessel vanishes. The view screen flickers, struggling to process what simply failed to exist. Bashir-S voice is tight with confusion. Where did it go? The tactical officer shakes his head, pale. It didn't cloak. It didn't warp. It just disappeared. Sisko turned sharply toward Dax. Did it enter the Station S vicinity? Did it attempt transport? No, Dax says. At least I don't think an alarm blares across ops. Odo bursts from the turbo lift, breathless in a way that only emotional urgency, not physical strain, can produce. Captain, you need to hear this, Sisko spins. Constable? Odo slams a data paddle onto the central console. A distorted internal scan appears, multiple red spikes scattered across the station. Worf stiffens. Intruders. Odo-S voice is low. Yes, they were already inside. They appeared simultaneously across 3 decks. No transporter signatures, no breaches, no entry points. They simply were not there, and then they were. A chill spreads across ops. Sisko-S jaw clamps. Location? Odo points. Promenade, habitat ring, and his eyes darken. The science lab, where the sedated Dalek is being held, where Time Lord technology from the captured saucer is being analyzed. Sisko turns toward the Master. Commander, could these intruders be connected to the signal you warned us about? The Master answers softly. Yes, absolutely. Worf grips his weapon. Then we go to engage them. Now. Sisko issues rapid orders. Worf, Kira takes security teams to the promenade. Odo, science lab. Dax, coordinate all internal sensors. Commander Marlowe. The master meets his eyes, calm and unreadable. Where do you want me? Sisko hesitates for a heartbeat, weighs trust against instinct, then decides. Ops, you stay here. The master bows his head with perfect deference. As you wish, Captain. The turbo-lift doors seal shut behind the others, leaving the master in the red-lit glow of the command deck. He waits. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Dax's voice rises from the science station. Captain, one of the intruders is interfering with the Lab-S containment field. A shriek echoes faintly through the comm, metal grinding against metal. The master closes his eyes, savoring the sound. The Defiant calls in. Multiple targets on the promenade. They were Kira to Ops. They were not humanoid. They static. Then Worf, roaring in Klingon fury. Then another shriek, alien and metallic. One the master knows intimately. Dax's voice tightens. Captain, I am detecting multiple temporal distortions. They regrowing. These intruders, they regenerating them. And then silence. The comm goes dead. The station hum drops. Lights flicker. Sisko freezes. Report. The master opens his eyes. Time bends. Reality ripples. And in the center of Ops, 5 meters from where the master stands, a figure materializes. Tall, thin, framed by a shimmer of temporal fire. Dressed in dark, sharp clothing. Eyes bright with manic intelligence. A familiar warmth of regeneration energy radiating from him like a heartbeat in the universe. The figure tilts his head, smiles brightly. Hello, the master says softly. His own face looks back at him. Another master, regenerated, alive, here. The newcomer laughs. Surprised to see me? The first master smiles slowly, savoring the shock spreading through Ops like a tide. Not at all. Outside, the wormhole pulses, the prophet stirring in alarm. Deep Space Nine descends into chaos. And Sisko realizes too late that the Doctor was never their greatest threat. Sisko's hand goes instinctively to his phaser, but the newly arrived master raises a single finger, almost lazily, as though calming a skittish animal. A pulse of warped air ripples outward from him. Silent, colorless, but felt by everyone on the deck. Consoles flicker, phasers glitch. The lights dim for a heartbeat. The message is clear: do not attack. The older master, the one Deep Space Nine knows as Commander Marlowe, tilts his head with cool amusement, studying his counterpart with the air of someone examining their own reflection under strange lighting. The newcomer looks different. Younger perhaps, sharper features, hair swept back with controlled chaos, a grin that cuts like a blade. Well, the newer master says brightly, hands spreading as though revealing a stage trick. Isn't it this cozy? One station, one wormhole, one universe ripe with potential, and 2 of us. How delightful. Dax is the first to find her voice. Captain, she whispers urgently. Temporal readings are off the scale. Reality is destabilizing around him. Sisko stands tall, jaw tight. Both of you, stay right where you are. The younger master looks over at Sisko with mock innocence. Captain Benjamin Sisko, defender of Bajor, emissary to the prophets. Oh, I've read your file. Fascinating, man. You blew up a massive Dominion fleet with the help of godlike aliens. Bravo. Truly, I respect theatricality. The older master steps slightly forward, positioning himself between the newcomer and Sisko with subtle precision. What are you doing here? He asks. Oh, that's adorable, the newer master replies, grinning. Look at you. playing the humble survivor, ingratiating yourself with Starfleet, so charmingly manipulative. He circles slowly, eyes never leaving his counterpart. But you didn't answer my question earlier. Did you really think you could come to this universe without me noticing? Without me following? The older master maintains perfect calm. I expected you eventually. But you were early. Early? The new master laughed sharply. I am fashionably inevitable. Sisko raises his voice. Both of you seem to know each other, and the doctor, and the Daleks. I want answers. The younger master gives him a slight bow. Of course you do, but answers are such delicate things, best enjoyed slowly. Start talking, Sisko commands. The younger master's smile fades not gone, but darkened. Very well, he looks at the older master. Should I tell him, or shall you? No, let me. You were doing such a marvelous job pretending to be harmless. Wouldn't want to break character. The older master stiffens for the first time. Dax and Bashir exchange a worried glance. Worf steps forward, hand hovering over his weapon. Captain, permission to know, Sisko snaps. Stand down, Mr. Worf. We don't know what they were capable of. The younger master claps once, delighted. Ah, the voice of reason, refreshing. Anyway, allow me to introduce myself properly. He straightens, eyes burning. I am the Master, a Time Lord, a traveler of all of space and time, and I am here to save you. Ops freezes. Sisko's voice is flat. Save us from what? The younger master steps closer, boots clicking softly on the deck, until he is within arm's reach of the center console. From him. He points at the older master. Gasps ripple around the room. Sisko's eyes tighten. He doesn't lower his weapon. The older master's expression doesn't change. Not exactly, but there is something like irritation beneath the surface, small, coiled, dangerous. Ignore him, he says quietly. Everything he says is a lie. The younger master puts a hand to his chest, feigning offense. Even that? Oh my dear, we both know that it's a bit unfair. I lie only when it's fun. He steps closer to his counterpart. This version of me came here for a reason. Not altruism, not survival. Something else, something you haven't told them yet. The older master smiles coldly. Careful. You're losing control. A shame. You regenerate into such pretty faces, but the emotional stability is always so fragile. A twitch of fury distorts the younger master's face. For a moment, time distorts around him, lights dimming, power arcs dancing along the ceiling. But he breathes in sharply, composed once more. Sisko's voice is iron. What is your agenda here? The younger master's eyes glitter. Oh, I have many, but let us start simple. Your wormhole is not just a passage, it is an intersection between universes, a wound in reality tied to entities far older than any empire you've ever heard of. Dax inhales sharply. The prophets. Very good, the younger master exclaims. Yes, the so-called prophets, non-linear beings, vast, dangerous, curious, and most importantly, connected. The older master steps forward. You are meddling with forces beyond you. Oh, please, the younger master snaps. Do you even hear yourself? We are Time Lords. We meddle with forces beyond us for breakfast. He turns towards Sisko. And your prophets are worried. I felt them as I arrived. They know someone is here who does not belong, someone who disrupts their garden. Bashir steps closer to the captain. He's talking about him, isn't he? The younger master answers before Sisko can. Of course I am, or rather, I am talking about us, both of us. Time Lords are anomalies here. The doctor was barely tolerated, but two incarnations of the Master? Oh, the prophets are positively screaming. The older Master S voice drops into a warning tone. Stop this. Why? The younger Master asks, eyes blazing. Because you tried to bury yourself in this cozy little universe? Because you thought you could hide? How domesticated you've become. He laughs again, sharp and bright. Or is it because you haven't told them what you were planning yet? The room turns toward the older Master. Sisko's voice is cold steel. What is he talking about? The older Master remains still, but tension crawls beneath the surface. The younger Master circles him. You arrived before me. You left your escape pod conveniently damaged. You ingratiated yourself to Starfleet. You helped them fight the Daleks, earning their trust. All meticulously choreographed. Dax S. voice trembles. Are you saying he orchestrated the Dalek attack? Oh, not entirely, the younger Master replies. But he nudged. He guided. He influenced the sequence of events to ensure that he, this version of me, would be welcomed here. Sisko steps closer to the older Master, eyes blazing. Tell me he is lying. The older Master meets Sisko's gaze without blinking. Why would I help the Daleks? They would kill me as readily as anyone else. Yes, but they'd leave behind exactly what you needed, the younger Master says. A breach, a moment of temporal instability, a crack wide enough to slip through. The older Master's jaw tightens. Sisko sees it. Worf sees it. Odo sees it. Everyone sees it. The younger Master spreads his arms. And now we are here. Two masters, one wormhole, one universe filled with possibilities. He leans in slightly, voice almost a whisper. And you, dear Captain Sisko, have no idea which of us is the bigger threat. Sisko raises his phaser again. I can make that determination very quickly. The newer Master beams at him. Oh, I like you. Suddenly, the consoles around the deck flare. Dax gasps. Captain, the science lab report, Sisko demands. Dax's voice shakes. The Dalek id-s waking up. The younger Master squeals with delight. Oh, good. I was hoping that would happen. Odo's voice bursts over the comm, tight with strain. Captain, the containment field is failing. The intruders are static. A blood-curdling metallic scream fills ops. Exterminate, Sisko spins. Security teams, report! Another voice crackles through Kira. Breathless, panicked. They were multiplying. Captain, they were not Daleks. They were, I don't know what they are, human-shaped, but twisted temporal echoes. One just walked through a wall. She gasps. We need backup now. The younger Master claps with childlike glee. The party has started. Sisko's voice roars across the chaos. Everyone in ops, listen to me. Masters, both of you stay where you are. Dax, lock down all bulkheads. Odo, coordinate with Kira and Worf, contain those intruders. The older Master steps back, posture rigid. The younger Master tilts his head. Do you hear that? He asks softly. Your station is unraveling. Your wormhole is screaming. And time itself is cracking underfoot. He leans in, smiling like a devil dressed in velvet. And I haven't even started yet. Sisko raises his weapon. You are both coming with me to the brig now. The older Master exhales slowly. Captain, if you attempt to confine us, this station will fall. The younger Master nods enthusiastically. Oh, absolutely. That would be hilarious to watch, mind you, but utterly disastrous, Dax shouts from her console. Captain, we have multiple temporal anomalies forming across the upper and mid decks. People are reporting duplicates, echoes, some vanishing through solid surfaces, some attacking anything nearby. The Dalek S-casing is opening. A metallic roar splits the comm channel. Bashir, pale and shaking, turns toward the masters. "What are you? What have you done?" The younger master beams. "Me? I've done nothing. I just arrived." He points at the older master. He, on the other hand, has been very busy. Sisko's voice shakes with controlled fury. "Tell me what you did." The older master closes his eyes briefly, painfully, then opens them with calm resignation. "The wormhole is reacting to us," he says softly. "To both of us. To the paradox. Two versions of a Time Lord, identical biological imprint, identical temporal signature, occupying the same region of space-time." He meets Sisko's stare. "Your wormhole cannot tolerate that contradiction." The younger master shrugs. "It is true. The prophets are trying to correct the paradox. They were pulling at the threads of time, and all those lovely anomalies are the result," Dax whispers. "The prophets are attacking the station?" "No," the older master says. "They are trying to remove temporal interference." The younger master smirks. "Specifically us." Silence falls, cold, heavy. Sisko's voice is iron. "Then we end this. Now. One of you will tell me exactly what we must do." The older master steps forward. "We must leave, both of us." The younger master sighs dramatically. "Leave? But I just got here. You know it is the only solution," the older master snaps. "Maybe," the younger one purrs. "Or maybe not." He lifts his hand. Energy swirls. Temporal force crackles. And with a smile hungry for chaos, he whispers, "I think I want to stay." The deck shudders violently as reality ripples outward. Temporal echoes scream in the corridors. The Dalek awakens, and Deep Space Nine begins to tear apart at the seams. The deck trembles beneath their feet. Consoles flicker violently, lights strobing in quick, disorienting bursts. The wormhole's roar echoes faintly through the structure of the station itself. Vibrating conduits, rattling bulkheads. Deep Space Nine groans like something alive and suffering. Dax's voice breaks through the chaos, panicked but steady enough to function. "Captain, the anomalies are multiplying too quickly. Normal physics is breaking down on 3 decks. I am reading chronoton fractures widening near the science lab and promenade." The comm crackles with shouts, screams, bursts of static. Kira's voice pushes through it with raw urgency. "Captain, these things, these echoes, they are phasing through walls. They don't follow geometry anymore. They move like shadows but hit like solid matter. Worf is holding them at bay, but we need help." Another scream rips across the channel, metallic and hateful. "Exterminate," Sisko roars. "Both of you listen to me, now." The younger master shows his teeth in something between a smile and a threat. The older one stands rigid, poised with tension. The station quakes again, the very air shuddering. Sisko's voice lowers to a growl. "You two want different outcomes. I don't care. One of you will tell me how to stop this." The older master speaks first, his tone sharp. "The paradox of two masters is destabilizing this universe as temporal foundation. The prophets are reacting violently. They were pulling at the paradox, trying to expel us." The younger master laughs. "And in their enthusiasm, they were tearing holes in your little space station. Very messy." Sisko ignores him. "How do we stop them?" "We leave," the older master says. "Both of us. This universe cannot stabilize with both incarnations present." "And if one of you leaves?" Dax asks. The older master glances at her. "It might help, but I'm not sure it would be enough. The prophets are on high alert. They sense potential catastrophe. Temporal beings like the Daleks have already stressed their domain. Now we're redoubling the problem." The younger master waves a hand dismissively. That S1 interpretation. Here S another. This universe is screaming because it wants to evolve. The prophets want control, and we Time Lords, we were the first true test of their boundaries. He steps toward the window overlooking the wormhole. Its energy pulses violently, more erratically than anyone on the station has ever seen. Why leave? Why not embrace the chaos? Imagine the possibilities. This universe has such potential. Sisko raises his weapon again. You are not turning my station into your playground. The younger master laughs, delighted. Oh, I already am. The deck lurches with terrible force, nearly throwing Dax from her chair. Bashir grabs a railing to stay upright. Sparks erupt from a console. A distant explosion echoes through the structure. Odo's voice bursts through the comm. Captain, the Dalek is loose. Another shriek follows loud enough to distort the comm entirely. Exterminate. The younger master twirls on his heel. Now we re-having fun. Sisko snaps. Dax locks security fields around the science lab. Trying, she begins, only for her console to explode in a shower of sparks. She recoils, protecting her face as smoke rises. The younger master claps with glee. Oh, this is wonderful. The older master's voice cracks through the chaos, sharp and commanding. Enough. You think you can control this? You think you can direct the prophet's fury? You idiot. You haven't changed at all. He steps toward his counterpart, jaw clenched. You were destabilizing the station. You were tearing open temporal wounds that may never heal. These echoes, they aren't invaders. They were fragments of possible timelines breaking through. The younger master turns slowly, smile fading. He studies the older version with cool, sharp interest. You sound almost afraid. I am not afraid, the older master replies. I am furious. Sisko steps between them. We need solutions, now. The older master takes a sharp breath. There is one option, one way to satisfy the prophets, one way to force the paradox to resolve. The younger master's eyes gleam. Oh, this should be good. The older master looks at Sisko with a calm heaviness. One of us must die. Silence falls like a guillotine. Bashir stares, horrified. What? No, there has to be another way. There is no other way, the older master says. Not one the prophets will accept. Killing the younger one will end the paradox. Killing me will also do it. Time will fold around the survivor. The universe will stabilize. The younger master beams. How noble. And here I thought you'd gone soft. Dax shakes her head. Captain, we can choose that. We can kill someone. We can let the station die either, Sisko says quietly. As if in answer, a deep vibration shudders through the entire facility. The wormhole flares violently, sending a wave of blue-white energy across space. Panels burst. Gravity flickers. For a split second, Op seems to twist sideways before rights itself. The younger master sighs theatrically. Well, if you insist on melodrama, the older master turns to Sisko. I will leave. I will put distance between myself and the station. Perhaps that will satisfy them. No, the younger master snaps sharply. You were not running away. He lifts a device from his coat, a smooth, elegant cylinder with shifting lights. Not a weapon, a stabilizer, something worse. The older master's eyes widen. You brought that? Of course I did. The younger master raises it. Temporal anchor. It binds me to this universe, ensures I cannot be expelled. Sisko sees it, realizes what it means. You planned this. Planned? The younger master says. My dear captain, I improvised beautifully. He activates the device. A shockwave rocks Ops. The wormhole screams. The older master shouts, "You fool, you've locked the paradox in place." The lights flicker wildly. Alarms blare. The younger master closes his eyes, lifting his arms, reveling in the chaos around him. Sisko makes his choice. He fires. The beam hits the temporal anchor, not the master. It shatters in a burst of sparks. The younger master screams as temporal energy surges up his arm, throwing him backward. He slams against the far bulkhead, gasping, stunned. The wormhole stabilizes, just slightly, enough. The older master lunges forward, seizing the moment. "Captain, brace them!" Sisko grabs Dax and Bashir, dragging them to the floor. The older master reaches toward his counterpart just as the station quakes again. Chronoton whines whip through Ops like invisible hurricanes. The wormhole pulses once, twice, and grabs. It seizes the paradox. It seizes the younger master. He screams as temporal energy coils around him, pulling him upward, as though unseen hands drag him toward the wormhole. "No, no, let go of me!" His words twist into distortion. Sisko stares as the younger master's outline blurs, flickering between ages, faces, incarnations. Each flicker is a different monster, a different threat, a different master, and then he is gone, ripped from the station, dragged into the wormhole by the prophets, screaming. Silence collapses into Ops, broken only by the fading hum of released energy. The wormhole stabilizes. The alarms cease. Gravity returns. Dax sits up slowly, dazed. The anomalies, they were gone. Worf's voice crackles weakly through the comm. Promenade secure. Intruders vanished. Odo follows. The Daleks shut down. It's inert. Kira, finally. We re-alive barely. "Captain, what happened up there?" Sisko doesn't answer immediately. He looks at the older master, who stands very still, breathing hard. Bashir whispers, "Is it over?" The master gives a quiet nod. For now, silence settles again. Sisko holsters his phaser. "You're not running off?" "No," the master says. "Not yet." Dax studies him. "You said both of you needed to leave. I said both of us would destabilize the universe." The master lifts his head. "One of us is gone. The prophets no longer see a paradox." Sisko stares at him for a long moment. "You saved us." The master tilts his head, eyes distant. "Did I? Or did I simply remove an inconvenience?" Bashir steps forward. "What happens now?" The master walks slowly to the viewport overlooking the wormhole. Its glow has returned to calm, flowing like a celestial river. "I will leave," he says softly. "Soon. The prophets may tolerate one of me, but they will not tolerate me forever." Sisko nods. "If you were telling the truth, thank you." The master looks at him, expression unreadable. "You may not thank me later." He turns away, walking toward the turbo lift. Sisko calls after him. "Where are you going?" The master pauses, glancing back with a faint, strange smile. "To tidy up a few loose ends." The doors close. Ops falls silent. Sisko watches the wormhole ripple softly, its light settling back into quiet harmony. Whatever came next, whatever loose ends the master meant to tie Deep Space Nine would face it soon enough. But for now, the crisis had passed. The prophets rested. The Dalek was silent. The paradox was resolved. And somewhere in the twisting tunnels of time, the younger master screamed into infinity.